Hello, hello. Good afternoon, everybody, and welcome to another live stream with me, 320 Sim Pilot. Great to see you all here. Thanks for coming along on this. What day of the week are we on? It's a Friday evening or afternoon, late afternoon for me here in the UK, but I hope it's a lovely day wherever you are. We're going to take this A320 NEO, the latest. I say latest, it was the latest as of yesterday anyway, A32NX aeroplane, and we're going to fly it down to Grenoble. We're going to start here in Leeds, Bradford International, which is not somewhere we've been before, I don't think, on stream, and neither is Grenoble, so I thought it'd be quite good fun. We're also going to use this fantastic livery by AC455, which is the 1980s Manta, sort of slightly retro, and it just, I don't know, for some reason to me it screams skiing 1980s sort of thing. So I wanted to use it for a sort of a ski charter a little late in the season now, perhaps by mid-April or early April, but there we go. So great to have you all here, and it's been a little while. I say a little while. We had a real run of streams not long ago, and now we've had a few days off, which has been quite unusual. So great to see you here, Adam Mazur, with an excellent looking little picture icon. I like that. Thanks for coming, Adam. Chickpoint, good to see you. Leo, I hope you're doing well. Thanks for bringing in the coffee. Lucas, I hope you are doing well. Lucas is flying along from Canada and would fly along, but far too nervous to fly in Europe. Oh, you'd be fine if you can fly in Canada and America. I'm pretty sure Europe is. I understand it's quite simple. You're going to watch me fly in America fairly soon and embarrass myself, no doubt. Fly24, good to see you. Fly24 did the music, that intro music that you had there. And Fly24 is enjoying the aesthetics of the channel. Thank you very much. It's glad to hear it. And thanks for coming along. Cottle, good to see you, and RyVideos94, I hope you're doing well. Found a Space Piano Learner, good to see you, and I hope you have a good afternoon. Wind shear should be simulated in this sort of thing. Adam can't stay either, there we go. Right, Victor Tango, thanks for coming and moderating, and Aviation Optics, I hope you're doing well. Kai, good to see you, Wide Womble as well. Ebos, I hope you're doing very well, and loads and loads of names. Sorry now, I'm going to spend too long going through all the chat if I try and say hello to everyone, but I'll do my best. Kai, Gabriel, Ed Haslam, good to see you, Ed, Leopold, as well, Warren Smith, enjoying the Manta livery. Great work by AC455. Andy H1302, thanks for coming along and moderating. I hope you're doing well. Aviation Forever, Eastbirds, Rory, Simon C, Brian, and Piano Learner's here as well, excellent. And Anthony, great to see you all here. So many names I recognise. Bowden says, hello, I think I'm going to fly along, but not in VATSIM because I'm in no way ready for that. Yeah, VATSIM videos are in the works, but for now I'm still working through the chart videos, but we are going to get there. We're going to get there. Giuseppe Gaming, good to see you. Thanks for coming along as well. Right, I'll stop doing this now and we will head into the aeroplane. So we're parked up here. We've had quite a few people join us since. This is the ORBX lead, so thank you to ORBX for providing the scenery once again. And here is our livery, not yet used on the channel, not yet seen on the channel. I believe the thumbnail was the first time you guys would have seen this livery. It has been available on flightsim.to. AC455 made it a little while ago, but it's not one we've used yet, so great to get a nice flight out here. I really like it. It meets all the criteria of a 320 Sim Pilot livery. Lots and lots of bright pink. 320 Sim Pilot written next to the cockpit. Always nice. I do like the line. Not quite a cheat line along the windows like my normal style, but what I do like is that it alternates that with this fantastic sort of run along the bottom of the windows. So it definitely meets that criteria. And it's got the little warm welcome. I hadn't seen that before there, which is quite nice. Oh, no. Oh, what? Your package is out of date. I've never seen this before. Hold on, guys. Give me just 1 second. Let's see if we can fix this quick enough. That is a little bit unfortunate. I've never seen that happen. Stand by. Let's... in order to get that and go online... No. Why do we need to be online? Is that going to be for the scenery issue? Oh, we've got quite a big airplane. I'm not sure we're going to do that. But yeah. GSIM-Z this one. So it is an alternative to GSIM-X, our classic aircraft. So this is a sister ship, shall we say. There's obviously the bright, bold Manta tail. Crucially, of course, pink static wicks. Very important as well. With a nice subtle Manta on the winglets. And another one underneath, which we'll see when we get going. Right, yeah, I'm not sure what's going. Freddie said I got it too. Click no, that can't be right. Yeah, I'm not going to mess around. I'm a little bit worried it might not load in the proper scenery when we get to the other end, but as long as the runway's there, that'll be fine. It's quite beautiful scenery though, so I hope it does work. It could be the model matching. I'm really not sure. Anyway, right, let's leave the drone. Time to jump into the cockpits. Now we are cold and dark. I've got a few things to set up. Like I said, a lot of changes have come to this mod. This is now obviously sitting on its own aircraft, so a little bit different to what we're used to. So hopefully it all works out. I did try it yesterday and it was all looking rather fantastic, so fingers crossed the same today. So we come on board and of course all the usual bits, so masters off, mode select norm, wipers both off, and landing gear lever down, and we're going to get those batteries on and auto. Voltage is all working now, electrical system maturing nicely on this mod. We've got the external power available, clunk, voltages go up, there we go, let the whole thing turn on. In the meantime, I'll put on all the brightness that we need when we're streaming, otherwise it's just not too pleasant to look at and quite hard to see what's going on. Up, 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 up. I wonder if we'll get the triple click. I think they added that quite a while ago actually. On. And while we're waiting for that, just for a second, we can just briefly jump in here. Yeah, that's all going to be lost, of course. Let me turn on the master. Okay, and I'm going to go to ATSU, AOC, init, and we'll just get that waking up for the flight. There it is, Leeds to Grenoble. I've already done the flight plan. Performance, weight, and balance. That's the planned fuel with 7.4. And as ever, we're not going to mess around because I don't know what's going to happen. Also, I'm hoping the fuel burn is correct. But yeah, let's go with 9.4, a ludicrous number that you'd never use in real life. But with the amount of traffic we often end up with, it's a risk I'm willing to take that we won't need that fuel. You may well, an airport like Grenoble is a small sort of seasonal airport, so fuel could be quite expensive. So it's not unimaginable to think you'd go with sort of, in fact, let's do it. You could easily go with enough fuel to get there and back. Yeah, let's go with 10 tons, why not? Quite common. And 200 taxi, 4.2 trip, load, and then we'll go to next page, just request that and load on the payload as it is. There we go. And we'll take it back to MCU menu, FMGC time, and we'll leave it there. Good stuff. Right, so that is all coming online nicely. The batteries are on, external power on, APU fire test, let's give it a go. No messing around today. We'll get ourselves powered up, ready to go as reasonably well as we can. No, the triple click that we don't get. No, I didn't hear it there. I can't remember if it was added or not then. Maybe I'm thinking of something else. APU coming on, starting up now. Freddie Reen, good to see you. My day's going well. I hope your day is going well as well. And Giuseppe Gaming says, apparently it's a Steam issue. It requires restarting to fix. Not sure how it can influence the flight. Well, we've got this VATSIM working. I suppose the only thing is we might lose some of the scenery. We shall see. That is disappointing. There's always some other thing, isn't there? But fingers crossed that doesn't affect us today. Lucas says, I literally reset everything and it's fine. Might just be online for the weather. Oh, dear. Yeah, we'll manage our way through all of those things. This was live weather loaded in. So if we have nice weather like this the whole time, it's no problem. Lauren V, good to see you. Lauren V says, I'm glad I've got to leave in about an hour or I'm going to eventually start raging about your pronunciations of Grenoble. Okay, what am I saying wrong about Grenoble? What am I doing wrong? Or should I rename it? It's actually not called Grenoble Airport now. It's called Is there? Also probably doing terribly. Found out yesterday that the floor console light switch works. Excellent. Yeah, that does underneath the seat and it does this little area down here. I quite like that light. I use it quite a lot when I can. But there we go. Okay. Right. APU is online. Let us carry on with our flow. Ground supply on, ground control on. It's all working nicely now. Get these into nav. You wouldn't normally do it. You do 1, 3, 2. That's pretty bad actually. Down here, auto fuel. We wanted our 10 tons. It's basically on, so we'll put that on. Emergency lights can go to arm. Strobe lights to auto. Nav lights system 1 or 2. Doesn't really matter. But we're going to have those on. I have set the time to be a little bit earlier, so we have daylight for the whole flight. Because I don't want to land at night again. We've done it a few times in a row now. Right, this is all looking good. That's all looking good. The electrical panel all looking good. We would do the battery check, but not much point when we can't see all the screens. We'll turn those on and we'll run our engine fire tests. All looking, as we would expect. Now, it is possible to have only one squib light up when you do the test. I've had that happen before. So just a circuit breaker on the rear panel that affects things like that. So it's all worth doing. These tests, they do occasionally throw up something surprising or that you want to get maintenance to check for you. Right, coming down here then, we've done our lights over here. Let's get that standby instrument up and online. Let's go to constraints, flight director, constraints. We'll do the rest of this when we set up the airplane navigation, but we'll set the QNH now. Looks like it's 1011, the magic of Flight Simulator. Down we come, anti-skid nose wheel steering on. Clock is all reset, perfect. Right, let's check our electrical page. We did already. Oil, loads of oil. Hydraulic, not modeled yet, and plenty of oxygen. Oil wouldn't show up in the real airplane at the moment. You'd have to do this ridiculous thing where you have to go up here and fiddle with the engine FADEX. But luckily, in this one it does work, so that's great. Right, down we come then. That's all in norm. Transponder, out reporting's on. We're on all. And that will be standby. Great stuff. Radio panels are all on. Weather radar off. Predicted wind shear off. Great. Gravity gear extension set to normal. So let us jump in here. Ethan's Aviation, good to see you. I hope you're doing well. Rise then Music says, watching your flow and realizing how much I usually skip is a little unsettling. I'm sure even that flow isn't textbook, I must confess. It's yeah, I do skip a few things that I'm used to not being modeled in this, so yeah, definitely not not even perfect there. There we go. Right, this is a good database. 25th March to the 21st of April still valid, so that is our diff strip starting. So data init A, let's load it in. Oh, that was a Bing. Not sure what that is. Never heard that one before, but there we go. Let me just check I'm not accidentally transmitting. We did have a problem with that recently. Kai says the 330 pilot next to you had only had too much to drink at the airport. Yeah, I think they just arrived, so maybe they were just happy. Oh, wow. Yeah, okay. That's gone slightly wrong for them. Oh, dear. I do hope we keep the scenery. We'll find out when we're going, but we'll manage either way. But, yeah. Will, good to see you. I hope you're doing well. Anyone else that I've missed? Anyone else? Mr. Espresso, good to see Mr. Espresso. Mr. Espresso says, I have not the Steam issue and got the same message. Oh, there we go. Ryan Videos is going to be the Easy 90 coming along for the flight. Excellent, excellent, excellent. And Rakon, good to see you, Rakon. Let us see where we need to be. Okay, so Adam Cooper says, is the aircraft next to you hovering in the air or downwards? Yeah, it's downwards. So, there we go. That's all loaded in. Not cruising at 230. That's the first stop. We actually want to go up to 350. So let's plant that one in there. Cosmox 34. Alternate of LFML. We're going to be the Manta 268 today. Ground temperature doesn't seem to be modelled. IRS and it should be done on the GPS, so I won't fiddle with it. And wind temperature we'll do a bit later. Yeah, so this page is funny. It does actually show up like this, where you have the option to align it on reference, but if you just leave it, it should do it on the GPS because it tells you aligning on GPS. So one of those rare occasions where that option's there, but you don't actually need to do it. In fact, you're better off not doing it and just let it align on the GPS if you can. So that's init A, flight plan time. So we are routing, here we go, Nelsa, Manchester, Honolulu, Woody, Mid, Bognor. So that's off to the south coast. And then we go through France via Resmi, very common routing point, Mike Oscar Uniform. And then basically we're there, south of France. That is Grenoble, dare I say it. Dare I say it. Van Raj, good to see you. Everything's going well. I hope you're doing well. Henrik as well. Thanks for coming along. MS Jane says, I swear that's not me in the 330. I make sure no one sees me fail at flying. There you go. Very good. And Husker66, hey from Florida. Good to see you. I hope things are doing well in Florida. Dougal McTavish, good to see you. I hope you're doing well today. Thanks for coming along. Dougal says, in the background while trying to reinstall Windows and FS 2020. Well, we've already had our first trouble with FS 2020, but good luck doing Windows as well at the same time. That is quite a mission. But there we go. Routing via Nelson. But thanks for coming along, Dougal. I hope you're doing well. So, do we have air traffic control here? Let me have a look. I've got to admit, we don't. Good. We're going to just force our way out of Leeds. That'll be fine. So I believe we're going to depart from runway 32. I'm just going to check the weather. It's not going to tell me, is it? Here's the test. Let's go and find a windsock. The rest of the things we can do, we can roughly make out on our own. But there we go. There must be a windsock somewhere. I think we're going to depart on the northerly runway. There's a windsock. Yeah, so northerly runway for takeoff. So it has loaded in a reasonable attempt. By the way, this is, as I said, the ORBX scenery for Leeds. So you've got, this is Jet2's head office. And Jet2, I think, do fly to Grenoble. If if I'm saying that right, but there we go. So ORBX has got their head office over here modelled in. Let me just pick up the speed of the camera a little bit. Zoom, zoom, zoom. And there we go. We've got a BA City Flyer plane here. And we've got Jet2's head office looking very gloriously red. They've gone for a very similar style to our channel in terms of making sure that colour gets across. So yeah, so there we go. I just missed that. Thank you for the subscription, Ismail. I hope you're doing well. Yeah, so there we go. There is Jet2's office. And here we are with the Jet2 fleet in that 330. I like seeing our livery shown like this next to other airliners with the real world liveries. It sort of gives it a bit of grounding. Quite like it. Anyway, there we go. Enough messing around. So northerly runway we are expecting to use 3-2, and then obviously we are going out via Nelsa. Inserts. If we have a look at the chart, it's quite straightforward. Or there's a few things we can definitely benefit from tuning. So diff secondary we can't do, so now we're on to radnav, and let's see what we might want for the radnav. So there's an NDB, I'm not too worried about that. We're going to get straight ahead, we can see down here. I've had this glitch with Navigraph a few times now where it doesn't let me scroll lower. There we go. Right, climb straight ahead to 1190 or 0.5 India Lima Foxtrot. So we need the India Lima Foxtrot. So let's put that in, India Lima Foxtrot. Not a database. Right, okay, and let's try the alternative then, which is the frequency 110.9. See if that works. Anyway, there we go. Whichever is later. So we've got to pass 0.5 and we've got to get to 1190 feet on the QNH. And then we make our left turn 313. We do that to 2.1 miles into Lima Foxtrot. Then we make a left turn to 274 until 3.5. It's a bit of a ridiculous SID that, but these days this will be RNAV. But there we go. Left to 233. Above 3,000, below 70 at the D12 from Pole. So Pole Hill is going to be the next VOR we're going to need to tune. So I'll put that on box 2. I believe the needles may be working today. I know they are in some versions. Let's find out if we got it today. There we go. Left inset the pole 053. So the Pole Hill VOR is down here. So we inset the 233, which is the radial 053, until we get to D11. And then we actually need to use the NDB to get out to Nelsa. So we can put in that NDB, which is the Lima Bravo Alpha ADF 1. Now I won't be able to tune both, but what I'll do then in this case is I'll display the ILS frequency until we round that turn. And after we round the turn, I can swap over and I'll use the ADF needle on the left and the pole frequency needle on the right. Let's see if any of that works. Anyway, stopping at flight level 70 by the looks of things. It's not very clear otherwise, but that is the restriction. So we'll put in that. If we just check the routing, it's always hard. There's just a little too many things to try and show you guys. If we go to plan, we can see the routing already. And if I zoom in, right, there it is. And as you can see, very similar. It won't be perfect, but there's 0.5, 2.1 DME, user 3.5 DME, user the Lima, Kilo, Juliet, Nelsa. Perfect. So that'd be absolutely fine. Flight level 70 on here. We'll go for manage speed, manage nav. And QNH 1011 gives us an elevation of 700 feet. So it's worth noting. And you can see it on the chart, of course, that the airfield is up at 700 feet. Transition altitude quite low, 5,000 feet, a little bit lower here. MSAs for the way up, 3,500 feet really is the one I'm going to use. It's the highest and is roughly in our direction. Within 10 miles, it's a little bit lower, 2,400 feet. So there we go. Right. Just jumping into the chat to see what I may have missed. Ariel, good to see you. I hope you're doing well. Grenoble I. Rice says the trick to French is to only pronounce the vowels that aren't written. Oh dear. Right, let us see what we need to do. Adam says the tug does itself now, puts you on the taxiway line. Oh, I'm excited to try that. Drone mode, I've got it toggled to F11, but that's just the button I use for it. Niceware says Flight Radar 24 gives a nice weather feature showing wind direction. Yeah, I just wanted to see what was loaded into Flight Simulator actually, just in case we tried to take off with the tailwind because my weather was all wrong. Thank you for the like, Private Void. I hope you're doing well. Yeah, if you are enjoying the video, do please hit the like button. Great to have you all here. Okay, so there we go. We're still working on our FMGC. So GPS primary, so it's now aligned. We can tell that. So there is our flight plan up to Nelsa all done, and then the rest of it's in. Done our secondary, done our RadNav, init B time. Magic of the fly-by-wire mod, we can just click there. Fuel, we know we had 10 tons, but actually it's going to be a little bit lower by the time we go anywhere. 9.9, taking off at 67 tons. I do have, if I load it up properly, stand by. This is not very good. I should have had this ready to go. I've got the flight plan. Let me just check the alternate fuel. That reckons 0.9. I reckon our alternate fuel is actually a bit more. The Airbus will always be optimistic unless you put in the whole route to the alternate. So I think we need 1.4 alternate fuel because it doesn't know the route. It just has a straight line in its head. Trip wind, I've got an average wind component of 252 at 052, which gives us +5. So let's do that. +5. Bit of a tailwind. Can't argue with that. Thank you very much. That's very kind. Daddy Wampus, thank you for your $15.95 donation. Really appreciate it. Daddy Wampus says, thanks for producing such excellent and positive content for the flight sim community. You're very welcome. Thank you so much for that incredibly generous donation. Thank you. Really appreciate it, Daddy Wampus. I hope I'm getting that name right as well. But thank you for coming along, and thank you for your very kind donation. Really, really appreciate it. And I hope you enjoy the stream. Yeah, that's really, really kind. Thank you. So we are going to go to performance page, and we're taking off from runway 32 northerly. We're going to go for, it's quite a short runway here. I think we'll do a flaps 3 today. We rarely do flap 3 on the channel, and we'll do a flex of, let's do a relatively high power. Let's do, well, flex 55. Standard accelerations will be fine, 2170. Let's load in those speeds. 124, 124, 5, 129. That makes sense. Clean of 220. So the last thing I want to check is the speed limits. Are there any speed limits on that departure? I can't see any actually, so we're basically going to accelerate to 250 knots when we are underway. Right, that is the FMGC loaded. That's our diff trip, data, init A, flight plan, secondary, radio nav aids, init B, and performance. Let's think what else we need to do. So we've done our 7.0, we've got our QNH, we're going to set standards. Let's just check we got that transition altitude. Transition altitude is wrong actually, it's 10,000 feet. We know it's 5,000 feet. So let's change that over. But yeah, thank you again, Daddy Wampus, for that very kind donation. Really, really appreciate it. And I hope you, I hope you enjoy this one. Yes. So, yes, I hope my TCA works with this. Yep, seems to be working. It's that, in fact, with the latest experimental version, I have a video on it. You can use the flypad to set up your throttles. It's the easiest way to do it, and it's really good. So yeah, I highly, highly recommend that. Riceland Music says, how do you know which flaps to use? Well, you don't using this in the Toliss. It will actually tell you, I believe, if you're not going to make it. But yeah, in the real aircraft, you have a performance calculator. It's an external thing. Now, please work. It did work earlier. Oh, that's funny. It seems to forget this, whatever I do. Ah, interesting. In my clackety-clack keyboards. There we go. That's funny, yeah. So do you have to type that into the app every time you use it? The FMGC remembers it, which is quite funny. But there we go. So there's our route in there. You can see we're up here. Going to go through a little bit of weather as we head sort of south. It's just south down here to the edge of the Alps. For our ski charter today, OFP, it's all loaded in from SimBrief, which is absolutely brilliant. So I could have shown you the figures there. Fuel. Oh, yeah. Yeah. Should have done on here, really. Oh, well, we didn't. Yeah, I forgot about that. Payload doesn't work yet. Okay, good stuff. Flight performance, don't need. Company we've done. Ground. So let's get some passengers in the door. We've done the fuel. Let's get the bags on. And I think once those passengers are on, we're all ready to go. Get the APU bleed on. That whilst they're boarding, give them some fresh air, which everyone appreciates these days, of course. APU is available, so we can get rid of that ground power unit. It's just a light at the moment. I don't think it seems to make any difference. Whether or not we actually call for the ground power unit on here, it doesn't seem to matter. That just does the model outside. Adam says, you press left or right with the EFB for the target and it guides you onto the taxiway centerline. Really? Okay, well, we'll try it out. That'd be great. So we won't have to drive it the whole time. Elijah, sorry, Elijah. No, I'm not sure why it's not working for you. Okay, people do have to log in every time. That's good to know. Aviation says, hey, there's a really good application available for Google and Flex Temp Calc. Yep, perfect. There you go. So there are apps out there to do it with, for those of you who would like it. I'm just guessing that Leeds would. You could probably get away. I mean, how heavy are we? Total weight was not too bad, 67 tons. You could probably do it flat one with a headwind, but hard to say for sure. We don't. We never guess these things. Piano Learner says, will you get the chance on takeoff to discuss takeoff performance monitoring in light of that reduced thrust miscalculation mentioned in the Discord? Which was that one? I haven't seen the reduced thrust miscalculation mentioned in the Discord. Sorry, Piano Learner. I do try and keep up to date with the Discord, but it does move quite fast sometimes, so I do my best. Right, passenger all getting on Board. That's it. Didn't take long to board our, I think we had about 150, so that's pretty good. Time to run through some checklists. So before start checklist, this is good, isn't it? We'll be ready to go in half an hour. That was my plan today. Cockpit prep completed. Gear pins and covers are removed. Signs are now on and auto. ADIs are all in nav. Fuel quantity, we've got our 9.9 tons and balanced. Check it in the outer tanks as well and the inner tanks. Takeoff data is set and barra ref is set 1011. Let me just check there's no traffic control because we've been caught up by this before on this channel many times. No, just Manchester and Newcastle, so that's pretty good. So, let us. They're loading on the last of the bags downstairs. I really like the chrome effect here. So this is available on flightsim.to if you search for Manta. I meant to put it in the description, which I have, yes. Oh, let me just change the formatting of that description actually. So if you'd like this livery, it is available in the description for the video on flightsim.to, and that is obviously working with the latest fly-by-wire version. I believe Paddy's livery will be updated soon, the retro Manta livery as well. There you go, last of the bags are on. Love it, excellent. Rear door, we may have to tell it to close ourselves clearly, so we'll get that closed up. Let me just set up the drone view. So you can get to it through showcase free camera, or if you go here, for some reason you have to click twice. Which view do we like? I think that's a classic one, isn't it? I do like that view. See the Manta there and the pink static wicks. Good. So that's all ready to go. Someone does need to remind me again to start the replay tool when we're on approach. I'm afraid I always forget that. Whatever I do. Right. Okay. Right. I think it's time to get going. So we'll run our little flow. Thrust levers are idle. Windows, doors closed. Get that beacon on. Warn the ground crew what we're about to do. Call the tug. Oh, push that for nav. We've still got 7,000 in there. Excellent news. And let's display something. So if I go to the VOR, so this is going to become more important. There you go. It does identify the India Lima Foxtrot. So on my RadNav page, I've got 1109, which was the frequency for that. But it doesn't display it here, it seems. I think this is a bug. I think the real aircraft would. But yeah, you can actually see up here it is displaying the ILF identified and the DME or distance to it. So that's going to be useful for our departure. Now on the right, I'm going to put the other VOR, which will be the Pole Hill VOR. So we'll take off. We'll use this DME for these first turns, at which point I'm going to swap it over to the ADF. Now, it looks to me like the needles may well be working. That looks like the Pole Hill needle pointing down to our left, because that always worked on this view. I think, did it work on this view? I'm not sure those needles were working. They certainly weren't working on ARC, so that is exciting. That opens up a few more doors to us. Right, we'll put the terrain radar on as well. Right, below the line then, windows and doors are closed and armed. Beacon is on, mobile phones off, thrust levers idle, parking brake is set. Okay, we are ready to go. Let's get ourselves underway. I'm going to put perf up on my side, and the pilot monitoring would usually have flight plan. Looks like our target's connected, and let me get onto the right frequency. Been a little while since we've done it in a 320 Microsoft Flight Simulator flight. 1228, good, and I think we're on stand 12. Yes, yeah, I got it right for once. Yeah, excellent scenery. I'm really impressed with it. Leeds traffic, Manta 268 pushing back stand 12 to face west. Let me just double check we're not transmitting too much. Okay, so they're pushing back from 18. Right, let's give it a go then. So,
traffic, Midland 316, taxiing.
Pushback, brakes released. Everyone's pushing back. There we go, clock running. Let's see, I'm going to have to do this myself, I think, because that was about to immediately turn us. So I'm going to do a little cheat. I've got it up on my screen. You guys probably can't see that.
Midland 316, taxiing, qualified Delta 1, runway 23, via November Delta.
Oh, no, not that way. That way. NDBs are still a bit dodgy. Okay. Okay, we'll keep that in mind. Yeah, I'm not sure. It seems to still need me to turn it. Must be my version. The frame rate may stutter for you guys. It's running quite smoothly on my end. It's just the streaming software does struggle a little bit occasionally. Let's see. Is that going to be tight enough? The real tugs do push a lot tighter than this, so they can do much sharper turns. There is a very strict limit to what they're allowed to do, though, before it ends up damaging the nose gear. Oof, it's going to be tight, but we can do it, I think. I think the last time we did this was Newcastle, so we've been up in the north of the UK a few times now. That'll do. I don't want to risk any more. All push back. Excellent. Set that parking brake.
Leeds traffic.
That is the park brake set. Let's get rid of that tug. Goodbye tug. Start up the engines. Starting engine number 2.
Leeds traffic A320 Mike.
There's pressure.
Holding point
Starting
Delta
2.
3 for
Start the clock. And away we go. Robert, no, RNAV approaches in the experimental build that I used yesterday did not work. However, we are going to try and fly the RNAV today because we're landing on the westerly runway, but we're going to do it in a slightly unusual way. We'll use RNAV, but we'll use lateral navigation only, and we'll do the rest in flight path angle. That's the plan for today. Thanks, John Joe. Yep, that would make sense. We'll give it a go in a second. So there they go. Engine spooling up nicely. Rarcon says we can't go without a co-pilot. No, the co-pilot is in the room but asleep and not paying much attention today, sadly. Guru, good to see you. You haven't missed much. We're just pushing back unusually promptly today. I planned for 1800 UK and we have done it. I can't believe it. So we're very chuffed with that. Right, there we go. That sounds nearly stabilised. How long has it been? 1 minute. Yeah. There he goes. Right, let's start up engine number 1. 35 PSI. That'll be more than enough. Not more than enough, but enough, certainly. Stop swinging the camera around. There we go. I don't have model matching Van Raj. Nope. I'm using just the very basic. Yeah, sorry about the lag for you guys. It sometimes does this on the ground. It's... Yeah, the software, I'm just checking. The software I'm getting is working absolutely fine. Let me just check that. Yeah, the internet's working. Okay. Yeah, it usually improves in flight, guys. I don't know what causes it. I really don't. We've got everything set to normal. Evening, Hayden and J. Robbins. I hope you're doing well. Lauren V says, you got going nice and fast just so I could stay long enough for the takeoff, didn't you? Yeah, there we go. We aim to please here.
Delta 1 for runway 3.
Yeah, I can see there's problems with the stream. Like I say, it's running completely smoothly on the actual computer. There's something about the way it's streaming. I don't know whether I need to lower the bandwidth, which will give you guys a lower quality, but may make the frame rate a little bit more reliable. I don't know. We shall see. Anyway, engine's available. Start timing now, just to check that they warm up properly. And it tends to be when I pan the camera as well, which I can understand. Anyway, that's done. Mode selector to normal. Don't need the APU bleed. Don't need the APU. Ground spoilers. Reset that trim. Flaps to 3 today. Transponder is already on. Actually, it would have gone to auto, but there we go. We'll leave it on. And we'll set that trim. 29.4. It's going to be pretty much where we have it. There we go, 29.4. Then it's the difference between VOR and ADF. If you look at my VOR tracking tutorial, that may help you out a little bit with what that one is. Right, after start checklist, anti-ice is off, ECAM status is checked, pitch trim is set, and rudder trim is at 0. Let's get going for taxi.
Traffic Midland 316 entering runway 32.
Oh, before we go, I should probably show you guys the taxi route. Somebody's already backtracking, excellent. So, just to clear it up with you guys, we are here on stand 12. We push back here. Some of these are quite short, these taxiways, but we're effectively going to go Charlie, because we can't make this left turn. No, definitely not. So we're going to go forwards. We'll go left through Charlie, then November, then Delta. Delta down, and then we'll need to backtrack for 3-2. So that is the plan. So left, left, right, down Delta. Right, let's give it a go. Leeds traffic, Manta 268, taxiing to runway 32 via Charlie and Delta. Okay. Brakes released. Still very sensitive on those thrust levers. Wish we could have a tiller axes. Do a little brake check. Yep, they're all looking good. And we check down there for the pressures. All good. Oh, there we go. Right, we are underway. I don't know how long I've been muted for there, but we are we are taxiing along now. As I was saying, if you could hear me, we are not going to do too much now. We're just going to focus on getting ourselves around safely, and then we'll head out to the runway. Looks like the stream may have smoothed out for a few of you. The mod is looking really nice these days, isn't it?
Easy 90, taxi into holding point Delta 1 via Alpha, November and Delta.
Keep it good lookout all around. Love it when they've got these broken up tarmacs. This is quite common on slightly older airports. Domino says I use the twist on my TCA so I think it's tiller. Yeah, I do that in X-Plane. Does that work in Microsoft Flight Simulator? Maybe I got it wrong. MS Jane says, I thought you were being passive aggressive. No, no. What my reference to the airplane in front was purely that I don't want to bump into them. I was saying that when I realised my microphone was off. So no. Airplane in front is doing completely the right thing. And here we go. This is the fun of Leeds. We're all going to have to do a little bit of a backtrack, which will build in that separation nicely. So hopefully we'll all arrive reasonably separated. Okay, there we go. Yeah, really nice scenery. I'm quite impressed with this one, as ever, really, with ORBX. Wow, that was a bit of a nose down there. Felt that one. That was making me nervous there. Yeah, look at that dip. Oh, you really feel dips and bumps in tarmac in airplanes. Right, flight controls. Full left. Full right. Neutral.
Midland 316 roll in.
Full down, full up, neutral, full right, full left, neutral. That's all good. The FO would now do theirs. We're now going uphill. You can see that. And look at that. We just grind to a halt immediately. There goes the Midland. Fantastic.
Leeds traffic, Manta 178, taxi to holding point Delta 1 via Delta.
Now, as the name says, have you noticed how the plane doesn't roll on its own in idle power anymore? Is that unrealistic? The Neos don't roll as well as the older engines do. They idle slightly lower, it seems. So they need a little bit of oomph to get going. If you release the brake and sat there on perfectly flat, I think they would gently start rolling. But it's a subtle difference. But I'll have to try it out in a few more contexts. This feels about right, although maybe a little bit too much thrust needed to get going. Maybe. It depends on so many things, the weight, the temperature, and so on. Anyway, we're going to stop and let this aircraft do its backtracking, and then we can run our flow. There's no point trying to do that now as we roll onto the runway. John Armstrong, good to see you. John Armstrong, thank you very much for your £4.99 donation. Really appreciate it, John. John says, what is missing now from the 32NX compared to the Toliss apart from VNAV? So the things missing now are VNAV. It's a lot of the situational awareness stuff, so it's the fixed info, the secondary flight plan. These are all useful tools that we do actually use day to day. The progress page, these sorts of little details in the FMGC. But having the needles working, having track FPA working is some really, really good stuff. RNAVs don't work fully because without VNAV you can't do the sort of final approach mode. So a few things like that. But it's coming along really nicely as ever. Their work is incredible, and it's great to see it separate out into its own product. So hopefully that reduces some compatibility issues. Right, TKSTARA, we've got that weather radar on. We can go to max auto brake, takeoff config. But thank you very much, John, for your £4.99 donation. Really appreciate it. Thanks for coming along today, and I hope you enjoy the video. We'll ding on the cabin crew. Right, before takeoff checklist, flight controls are checked, flight instruments are checked, briefing is confirmed. So we got our route, we know our plan. We're going to convert to standard after takeoff, up to that flight level 70. Flap settings are config 3 green over there, config 3 blue down here. FMA and takeoff data, we've got 124, 129, climb nav blue, 152, 7000 to become a flight level. And of course we are flexing 55 on this one. Transponder is set, and ECAM memo is takeoff, no blue. So we are all ready to go. Engines are nice and warm, they've had at least 5 minutes. And we're going to see our colleagues head off in front of us. Lauren V says, to get it going, it needs a bit of power, but after that, I can close it. It's very picky about hills and any snow or water on the taxiway. There we go. Yeah. Thank you again, John, for that very kind donation. But yeah, I think VNAV is the big one, but also some of the NEOs and so on. Yeah, it shouldn't slow down with idle power. With idle power, the Airbus 320 NEO will keep moving for sure. And we'll line up then. Leeds traffic, Manta 268, lining up runway 32 and backtracking. Okay, there they go. No messing around with the time here, so let's get ourselves on the runway. Yeah, so I'm having to add a fair bit of power, although we are uphill as we saw earlier. Let's get the lights on now. We're going to point down the runway, so we want to be as visible as possible. Already got the TCAS to TARA. Okay. Load line then, cabin is secured, engine mode select will stay in normal, TCAS TRA, packs will be on for this one. Let's get ourselves over and ready to go. We've got a bit of a queue behind, have we? Or maybe we can see it from our wing view. Not quite. The sounds as well in this mod, the sounds are top notch. They are seriously impressive. See if there's any bugs with the auto thrust. Yeah, hopefully it arms. We'll figure it out. The Asobo ground friction is too much, so yeah, can't really do anything until Asobo fixes it. Oh, maybe that's what it's related to, Andrew. Yeah, if it's the ground friction. As I've mentioned it 1,000 times at this point, that I don't know why Microsoft Flight Simulator treats the wheels as if you're in a Formula 1 car going at 200 miles an hour. Aeroplanes don't grip the runway as well as it seems to like. So you can see this sensitivity here. Okay, so we are pretty much ready to go. We're going downhill now, so it will start running away. 17 knots. So I'd expect it to go really fast. You need quite a little bit, lots of brakes here. There we go, 18. If you've done a short turnaround and you don't have brake fans, this would be quite frustrating because you'd easily heat it up. Yeah, it's a good livery, isn't it, Nicholas? Absolutely agreed. So squeezing on those brakes. Now, there is a way to do a 180 on the runway in the Airbus where you can do it within the width of a runway like this quite easily. But when you have these nice yellow lines, this does make it easier. It also is less stressful on the airplane because you're not having to squeeze the airplane around quite as aggressively. It's not really aggressive, but you know what I mean. The nose wheel can take a bit of a less strain. Oh, if we do it right, there we go. Also means that a lot of the wear on the tarmac happens on this turnaround patch instead of happening on the runway. Obviously easier to resurface the turnaround patch than the actual runway. Mark, thank you very much for your £5 donation. Really appreciate it. Mark says, I've noticed the expedite button now works even though it says in op. I feel like it's obvious, but why would you use it? Please remind me, Mark, once we're underway. Oops, sorry. Yeah, I can't do too many things at once. Please remind me when we're underway, Mark, and I'll happily answer that one. But thank you very much for the £5 donation. Really appreciate it. Thanks for coming along and supporting the channel as always. Really very kind. Okay, let's get ourselves over to that centre line. My frame rate is really suffering here. Quite unusual. I'm not sure why, but there we go. And we are going to get underway. Right, guys, so yeah, let's go. Manta 268 taking off, Leeds runway 32 for the number departure. Right, relatively short runway. So start the timer, spool up to 50%. Yeah, do remind me again, Mark, when we're underway. Brakes released. 2 clicks forward, man flex 55, SRS, auto thrust is blue and armed, running up this hill. Nicely modelled by ORBX, definitely. There's all the traffic on our right, excellent. 80 to 100, side stick coming to neutral. Yeah, it's quite a bumpy runway, this one in real life as well. V1 and rotate, up we go. Rotate lower working nicely. Positive climb, gear up. Now you heard that stall warner. That's, you can't even get that in normal law. That's an alternate law feature. So yeah, probably a bit fast on that rotation, but not stall inducing worthy. And there we go, away we go. The sounds are just glorious. There's all that terrain. Lovely day here in the UK. Yeah. At flap 3, at this thrust, I wouldn't expect it to keep accelerating. There we go. The speed should start to come back now. Thrust, climb, climb, auto thrust. Oh, bit sensitive on the pitch there. Got our DME working, which is great news. Above the F, we'll go to flaps 1. 2 stages of flap coming in. Round the turn we go. So it did load the scenery. There's that wind turbine. Really great. Okay, put in autopilot 1 just so we can see our DME. There it is, 2.5. So the next one should be at, go back to our SID charts, 3.5. Yep, so it'll bring itself around and then we'll swap over to the pole. Above airspeed, flaps to 0. And away we go. I hope you're looking forward to getting to Grenoble, no matter how badly I've said it. Adam says, I have no scenery after the error message. Oh, that's going to be annoying. Oh well, we'll just get up nice and high. I have managed to get it to go back online before, but we'll see if we can make that happen. That might disconnect us, that's the only problem there. Okay, right, we're going up to flight level, so we'll go to standard on both sides. There we go, so now we're going to flight level 70. And next, we want to bring up the NDB. There it is, 402. Although it should be 402.5. Let's see if we can convince it to do that. There it is. So maybe it will display a bit better now. And there's the needle. Fantastic. Great tip, that. Let's keep going up though. We're going to cruise at 350. No need to hang around down here. Very inefficient to be sitting burning your fuel at 6,000 or 7,000 feet. Commonly pronounced Grenoble in French. Grenoble. It needs to be the stereotypical French R from the back of the throat. Thanks, Harry.
Traffic easy 90, taking off runway 36.
Right, let's do our after takeoff checklist. Landing gear is up. Oh, of course, we've done it again. Too busy talking. Disarm those. Lights off. Not a complete crisis, but certainly should be done. Right, let's try that again. After takeoff checklist. Landing gear is up. Flaps retracted. Packs are both on. Barrier ref, we are on standard. That's the after takeoff checklist complete. Yeah, scenery's gone. Oh, disaster. Thanks, Harry, though, for that tip. Mike says frame rate went down to 10. Our frame rate seems to have recovered, but we shall see. Thank you again, Mark, for the donation. So let's see the expedite button. I don't know if mine's working. I'll press it. Expedite climb. There we go. So now it should basically target green dots, and it shouldn't go below that. So all it is, that's 10,000 feet, by the way. So let's get rid of those landing lights. I will leave the seatbelt signs on just because the pitch angle is so steep there. I don't want the cabin crew moving carts around and so on. And secondary we would clean up. Not available though. We'll go to airport. And there's Nelsa. Then we're going to make our left turn down to Manchester. And yeah, you can see the needle working nicely. That's the NDB, so it's pointing right behind us, and we're supposed to be on tracking 092, so that'd be 272. Yeah, 272, which we are perfectly. You can see, so that needle is working. That's nice. The navigation in Microsoft Flight Simulator is coming together slowly. Slowly. Right, left turn from Nelson down to the Mike Charlie Tango. So now I'm pretty satisfied that we can navigate our way from here. So I'm going to clear out everything I've selected. Let the airplane automatically tune it, because it would tune the Manchester VOR for now. Although the real airplane would populate this with frequencies and so on, but this one doesn't bother at the moment. Don't need the chrono anymore. Engines are back at climb thrust. Let's go to a normal sort of range. Yeah, we'll leave it there. Okay, good stuff. I'll have the VOR on my side. Turn that one off. Yeah, so expedite, you can see it's just climbing us a green dot, which is going to be the minimum drag, so you're going to get the best rate of climb out of the airplane. We don't use it almost ever. It's very rare. It is basically used. No, it's not used. Some airlines don't even allow it. They don't have it working. They disconnect it. All it does is it just does this. If we were descending, it would accelerate to pretty much our maximum speeds to get the most drag out of the airplane in a sort of open descent. So it's quite a fast way of changing things. If I pull that again, it will return to open climb. If I press expedite climb, back it comes. So most airlines don't like it being used, but it is available. I wouldn't use it near a level off, for example. And it's great to give us that rate of climb there, but now we're going to do a really low rate of climb while we accelerate. So But it works in the climb and descent. In the descent, the biggest risk is overspeeding, because it will dive down so quickly to such a ridiculous speed that eventually you risk overspeeding anyway. So it's just not very common. See you, Guru. Thanks for coming along. This is the experimental version, Run Wild, but it's the experimental version from yesterday. So yeah, so using X-Flight Climb, I just can't think of a scenario. Even if air traffic say it, the better way to do it, frankly, is to pull the speed yourself and then wind it back to where you want it. That has exactly the same effect. If I was to wind this back to Green Dot, for example, that would be great. The problem of doing this is, firstly, the nose goes really high, so if we've released the passengers, that's quite a steep angle for trolleys and walking around. It also means that as we get close to Green Dot, if there's any wind shear, or not even shear, just slight wind changes, you've got to think about these things. What if we're up here at 12 degrees of pitch at 20,000 feet, which is all fine while we're aiming for Green Dot, but what if we suddenly lose energy, which does happen? The reason that's going to happen is we're passing through the air. We're climbing at 4,600 feet per minute. You know, that's a fair few miles per hour vertically. So the chance of the wind changing is quite strong. It will change as we do this. So you could suddenly punch through the air and then find that you're in a different sort of layer, or the wind's picked up or reduced, and the speed will just wash right off, and the airplane won't lower the nose very aggressively. The Airbus doesn't lower the nose very aggressively at all. Negative G is very bad for the airplane. It's bad for the passengers. So sometimes it's a little bit too sluggish on lowering the nose. Actually, pilots don't like it. So you could end up in a low speed event quite easily in the situation we just saw. The way to get around that is to push to level off. That's the most aggressive way to make the airplane lower the nose. You can see there it puts it straight down. Anyway, let's pull that. Let's go to manage speed, and let's climb normally. That was quite a big lecture on that. Right, so now we're accelerating. Nose is down. Seatbelt signs can come off. Passengers can walk around and enjoy the view. Oh dear. Any way to get back online? Let me just see. Just going to see how close anyone is behind us. No. Oh, my app for looking at that sim is not working today. Nope. Sadly not, so I can't tell. The weather radar in the Toliss Vladislav, I find it doesn't work very well, to be honest. It's not very reliable, so I don't use that. The image says, when will we get the video explaining NDBs? Hard to say. Like I say, the VOR tracking tutorial is going to give you the most information on NDBs at the moment, or using them. Video on star charts I've got ready to go, so for those of you waiting for the star chart video, that's coming into the channel within the next few days anyway. Lauren B says, toggle the scenery options on and off under online functions. I think that's the right thing to do here. Let's give it a go. Hold on, guys. Stand by, stand by, stand by. I think that's going to be the best thing to do here. Online, on, thank you. Photogrammetry, on, thank you. Live raw traffic, off, apply. 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 Oh dear. That may have been a bad that may have been a bad idea. Oh, I've done that before. Your package is out of date. No. Now it's going to turn it all off again. I had to restart to get the scenery back. Everyone says, that's so ridiculous, isn't it? Why would it do that? It all loaded up nicely. I was sat there for half an hour earlier. Didn't have any trouble. And the scenery into Grenoble is really quite nice, the VFR scenery. Apparently the servers are all a mess. I was flying and got a message saying my packages were not updated. The sim essentially quit. Luckily up and running now. Says Toga. Yeah, well, we might find ourselves in that situation. Oh, look though, it did load something in. It seems to just load the area. Maybe what we'll do is when we get to Grenoble, we will do exactly what we just did there. Let's try that on approach. And if it doesn't work, we'll just punch the microphone. If it doesn't work, we will maybe take off from Grenoble and just go and fly the approach. You know, we'll find a way to get that landing in. That'll be the plan. Multiplayer still on? No. In fact, we're even still on VATSIM. VATSIM is very forgiving for Microsoft Flight Simulator, but on X-Plane, your frame rate goes below 20, and that's it. You're kicked out. Yeah, package out of date. We only have a 1980 delivery. Yeah, agreed. Giuseppe votes for a restart. FU says, FU2 Max says, don't do it. And on Emus, there's a little confused face, I think. There are no packages though. It is so stupid. Literally only 2 or 3 airports needed updating, but it wasn't a full-on update. Yeah, I don't really want to do it. My biggest concern being, I don't know if it's going to work straight away. Yeah, you can see it just loaded the area around us and then it ran out. It won't matter for the cruise, so we'll do the same thing when we get there at the other end. That'll be the plan, and hopefully we're not too tight on separation, because we're not going to see the ground for the next sort of next hour. Don't try to pronounce it right, just diverse, says Rakon. Yeah, maybe that's a better idea. AC455 wonders if a sim update patch has been released in the last hour. Incredibly likely. After all, I am streaming with Microsoft Flight Simulator today, so the patch was guaranteed, surely.
Little traffic, EV75 November Alpha, rolling out, heading 080 downwind, 57.
Yeah, look at that. That's where the scenery ends. No matter. We're going to look at some lovely clouds for the rest of the flight, and then we'll reload the scenery just as we pass downwind. Don't look down. Don't look down. There we go. We can look backwards. There's Liverpool. Sounds busy. Marcel says, hi Cat, thanks for the stream. Trying to donate through the link, but I just get a blank screen with Pattern 320 SimPilot logo. Sorry about that, Marcel. Let's see. It should. Yeah, that it all works on my end. So thank you very much for being for thinking of doing it. Yeah, if that link that Lizzo5 gave you doesn't work, then I'm sorry. Yeah, that's the only one I can think of. It should work. Maybe it's not available everywhere. So this livery, guys, also look underneath. There it is. This chrome effect is really nice as well. I think 84 have done a great job. Really, really clean. I really like it, actually, this brushed metal. We've got brushed metal on our retro livery by Paddy as well, which just looks glorious as well. So it's great to see it used. The only airplane that doesn't have it is our original Sim X321 in X-Plane. Yeah, really nice. I quite like the tail as well. Totally separated. Manta. Simplified. This is a simplified version of the airline as well. Can't believe I sat there for half an hour without any terrain issues, and then before we even took off, for no reason, it's not like we were moving anywhere. He tells us that it's given up. Johannes B, good to see you. Thanks for coming along. Johannes B says Streamlabs works for them. Yeah, okay, great. So it sounds like it's working, but yeah, sorry if it doesn't work for you, Marcel, but thanks for trying. Betsy says, yeah, I had to do something like that earlier this week. Kept kicking me to offload map data because it thought my download bandwidth wasn't high enough. Ooh, yeah, maybe it's that. Maybe it's the streaming's upset it. Who knows? Elijah says, how do you listen to the 80s without the sim voices coming in? I double click it on, if you're talking about using vPilot, then you can just double click it. Of course, in here, I can do it in here now. In fact, I can't believe I totally forgot to do that on the way out. What am I thinking? That's why I try and fly all these airplanes sort of on repeat. It's just, there's too many things to forget, really. Which ones have which features and so on. These textures are looking glorious. That's great down here. This is where, this is sort of a soft touch, sort of plasticky material here. That's just spot on. Really, really nice. Another one I noticed earlier. I'm not sure if these have been updated again, but they feel better. This looks smoother to me than it did before, which is more realistic. But it could just be the sun position. This one here, and when the sun catches it right, this sort of felt lining to the window sunshade, spot on as well. And look, even the carpets. Excellent, excellent. Just print out that meter. So in real life, if you need to get an ATIS by audio, which is, it's a tedious way of doing it. It's quite frustrating because it basically means one pilot needs to be purely doing that, and they go off the radio. They have to monitor as well, obviously. Monitor the flying is still our most important job, whatever we're doing. But yeah, it's not ideal, and it's certainly more frustrating than just being able to print it out. But if that's what happens, then yeah. So when you say, Cal, can you listen to the ATIS without the other pilots coming through? Well, in the real aircraft, it's quite simple. You can just see, this is a toggle in here. It's not a toggle in the real airplane. This is one of those switches that you click it and it pushes out and lights up when it's on, and then you click it again and it pushes in. So what you can do is, this is the listening, this is the transmitting. So you put the ATIS onto VHF2, which will be over on that side normally, depending on how you have it set up, and then you would turn off that one and turn on that one like that. There you go. That's more like it. It doesn't seem to work with VHF1, so you just listen to VHF2, and there you go. Gary K, thank you very much for your £5 donation. Really appreciate it, Gary. Gary says, enjoy your channel, keep up the good work. Thank you so much, Gary. Really kind, and I hope you're doing very well. Thanks for coming along, and thank you for that very kind donation. I really appreciate it, and I hope you enjoy the rest of this flight. Yeah, but thank you so much. Really kind. Thank you. Johannes B, currently studying for my VATSIM P1 lesson tomorrow morning. Excellent. Enjoy. What are you going to be doing tomorrow morning? Where are you going to be flying, Johannes? Boom says, hi, I was just wondering if it's possible to become a pilot if you couldn't complete your high school diploma. That would depend on what the country you're in happens to like more. So I can't say for the whole world. Yeah, I'm sorry. And I don't have a high school diploma system in the UK, so I'm not familiar with it. So sorry, I'm not going to be much help for you, Boom. But good luck. I hope you make it. And I'm sure there's a way. You just have to sometimes navigate a few obstacles. Lucas says it's hard to have to listen to an ATIS and for ATC calling. Yeah, well that's why if you have to listen to the ATIS, one pilot would take the radio and one pilot would listen to the ATIS. Yeah. Just the one sector, Azal. Yep, just the one sector. Lauren V says too many things to forget, and the A32NX is always updating too. Yeah, it is indeed. It is indeed. Ah, very good. Yeah, okay. Let's have a look at that. 8445. Yeah, I did notice the texture change. So this nose cone is grey. The airplane is the bare metal sort of colour. Does anyone know why that is? I have a sneaky suspicion some other parts may require the same treatment, but I'm not 100% sure on that. Yeah, who knows why that's left grey. And obviously AC455 does not get to answer that question. Yeah, very good, very good. MSJN says, those two chromed Manta liveries are my favourites so far. Excellent, MSJN. Well, those are the two liveries that I didn't make. That's the one by Paddy and AC455. And I totally get it. Yeah, they are fantastic. Thanks again, Gary. Very kind. Johannes B says, Wycombe Air Park, lesson 2, straight and level flight. Excellent. Enjoy that, Johannes. Yeah, hoping to do some more VFR stuff on this channel soon. Checkpoints, got it. Nose cone is composite material, not metal. Absolutely. Absolutely. Radar, says Piano Leonard. That's it, because of weather radar elitist. Yeah, so you've all got it. It has to be composite. It can't be metal when there's a radar behind it, because if there was, all the radar would do is reflect straight back at itself from the metal. It would always think that there's a thunderstorm in front of you, and probably us pilots in the front would get a nice dose of that radiation being reflected straight back at us for the whole flight. So yeah, no, nose cones are composite. Harder to fix composite materials in some aspects, but Window Seat will be our expert on that. If Window Seat comes along today, you can ask them. See, very knowledgeable, you guys, as ever. Right, last 1,000 feet to go. Trumper says, how can you get the 048 C and 048 CG with SimBrief? So I loaded in using the SimBrief sort of integration. If you look at my MCDU update video, I talk about how to use that. Yeah, that's pretty much how I cheat my way through it. Mr. Espresso says, Captain, I saw a video of an Iberia accident in Bilbao because of alpha protection causing the nosedive on the runway. Have you heard of this? Apparently led to Airbus software update on all buses. Yeah, possible. The alpha protection has caused a few issues over the years in various ways, and incidents basically caused by failures of other things. You know, it's not in itself a problem. It's just it has it has got itself a bit unstuck. So there is a procedure for dealing with it, and I think it's been updated now. So that's even that procedure I don't think we need to use as likely as knockout star. But yeah, alpha protection is the system that where the aircraft knows its angle of attack. But if those sensors happen to give wrong information and they agree with each other, so for example, if both angle of attack sensors think that the airplane's at the same angle of attack, then the airplane may not know that it's actually at a different angle of attack, and there's a risk of it trying to apply some sort of protection, like lowering the nose or raising the nose. But that's been modified heavily. Yeah. Our cruise, there we go then. So let's put that TCAS to point below. There it goes. And let's run a bit of a systems check. All looking good. That's too much. You'd never see oil full like that, I hope, otherwise you've got too much. Bleed air, all looking good. Pressurization, still a placeholder, it looks like. Electrics, though, we know working really nicely these days. Perfect. Yeah, great. 24, oof, you'd start getting complaints from the cabin at 24. Oh yeah, and this should go off when the engines are running. As I said before, this recorder switch doesn't click in like this. It actually, you just press it and it springs back to where it should be. So that's on right until the engine starts, and then it will just be blanked out because it's already running. Right, it's too hot. Let's turn those down. I think that might be right. We often fly around with these turned below the 12 o'clock position. So let's see, somewhere in the 23, 22 would be good. Doors looking good, wheels, flight controls, great. Settle in. Yeah, you guys got the answer for that. So yeah, so good question, Mr. Espresso. But yeah, what it is let's look at the outside actually. So the angle of attack sensors, there's one here, one here, one here. So if they all agree with each other, there was the risk of the airplane deciding it was at a higher or lower angle of attack than it really was, and then therefore trying to apply some protection. Oh, we're getting undertaken. Disaster. Is that a CRJ? Oh no, maybe not. Nope. But there we go. We are most certainly getting undertaken. So yeah, so that's where those are. Rathlin says, have you flown a NEO in real life? Yes, I have. Pavel says, how about establishing virtual Manta airlines? So we were talking today. Oh, we weren't. I saw on the Discord people talking about virtual airlines and you know, the realism and people getting nervous about being able to get enough flights in to remain a member and that sort of thing. So I definitely think about starting a virtual airline, but it's a lot of work and also something I don't do, and I wouldn't even qualify for it because I don't fly ever under the same airline really, except the Manta. So we could do Manta one. I suppose I could at least do a couple of flights. I always do a couple of flights a month, so I don't know, it's definitely something to consider, but I don't know if I have the technical ability to set up a system like that. Ed Islam says, I read that the NEOs are getting full electrical rudder systems. Ooh, I haven't heard of that one. It's possible. So we found out on our long haul live stream that 350 uses clever sort of hydraulic systems that mean it doesn't even need hydraulics to power the flight controls. You can just use electrics, so that's really quite clever. So maybe we'll see something like that. Window Seat is driving home, listening in. Thanks, Window Seat. Safe drive. We'll speak to you when you get home. Leonardo says, what about the expedite question from earlier? I got quite curious. Yeah, we did talk about it a little bit earlier, Leonardo. Yeah. Unless my microphone may have been off for that whole time, but yeah. Dylan says, can you explain when to turn on off anti-ice? Yep. So engine anti-ice comes on whenever there's moisture outside and the total air temperature, the TAT, is below 10. There's only one exception to that, which is if the SAT is below -40, then we don't need to turn it on unless we're in the descent. If we're in the climb and it's below -40 sat, like it is now, so if we were in clouds now, I wouldn't need to use engine anti-ice. It's too cold. What this means is there's not water in the air, it's just ice in the air, so it's just going to bounce off the airplane. However, if we then enter the descent and the engines are at low power, I'll turn on the engine anti-ice. You don't need the anti-ice in the cruise nearly always because either it's too cold or hopefully you're doing this sitting on the tops. That's the magic of jet aircraft compared to turboprops. Chris Holt says, I've repaired hundreds of radomes. Yeah, there you go. Are they difficult to work with, Chris? Visual landing today. We're hopefully going to do an RNAV today for the landing. That's the plan. Have you ever flown Flybywire A380? No. Nope, I hope to. But I don't know I don't know when I'll get access to that because I'm not on the QA team. You know, you'll see. You often see sort of fly-by-wire features get shown on some other channels early because they get early access, so they get to make the video before us here. But the 380 is I don't think anybody has it, and certainly I don't think they're showing it because it's still very early days for it. I think very early days. But those last pictures they showed in their update look fantastic. So yeah, so that's the engine anti-ice. So moisture in the air below a tat of 10 degrees, plus 10. But in the cruise, when it's below -40, you don't need it. Wing anti-ice is only when you see ice on the airplane. So if you see it on this little stick here. The NEO in Microsoft Flight Simulator is quite a posh one. It's fitted with an ice detector, very rare on Airbus aircraft. So if you had a NEO that did that, I assume, I don't know the procedure, I've never flown one with an ice detector fitted. It would be when you got the sensor tell you. Now, I've flown older aircraft that did actually have one fitted, or, you know, simpler aircraft, but yeah. Peter says, so that's why aircraft are so cold. Yeah, the aircraft, it's better to keep them a little bit cooler than too hot. People start to feel it's a bit sick often if it's too hot, and also you've got cabin crew who are working quite hard, walking up and down. So yeah, they tend to be kept a little bit cooler. It helps with the motion as well. Marcel, thank you very much, Marcel. You managed. Thank you for your £5 donation. Marcel says, donated at last. Wish I could load a saved.plan file into the MCDU in the cockpit as you do from SimBrief. Had no response from Flybywire. But thank you very much for that donation. Really appreciate it, Marcel. I hope you're doing well. Thanks for coming along to the stream and thanks for donating. I hope you're enjoying the video. Yeah, I never do that, so I don't know. I just don't have the knowledge. I'm sure there's people in the Discord or on YouTube who do know, but I always either type in the route, or if it lets me load it straight from SimBrief, I do that. But yeah, I suppose it would be nice, and maybe there is a way, but sadly I can't help you. But thanks for coming along, and thank you for your very kind donation, Marcel. Thank you. Jed said RNAV is not working. No. Trace 8101. Hello to you. Thanks for coming. Chris says the A350 uses composite called glare glass aluminium reinforced epoxy. Goodness me, clever stuff, isn't it? Raja, hello to you. AC455 says Air Canada's procedure have it that under 10 degrees C anti-ice must come on when entering clouds. Yep, that's it. That's exactly it. Yep. So I'm guessing that's just an Airbus design number. Leo says, what's this small phone? Ah, good question. That's never come up before. Don't know if you guys can see it. Little phone there. Who knows? In the chat. I bet some people here know that. Rasmus says, I'll definitely join Virtual Manta. Excellent. That's good to know. We've got some people who definitely want to do it. So we're jetpack away. Excellent. Cassari says, how long it took for you from ground school to being hired by an airline? Not too long, but I finished at a relatively good time. Streambot is here, jetpack away. It is here. 25 degrees minimum for Peter, yeah. Well, I like to keep it a bit warmer in the flight deck. So we get the luxury, we can have it a bit warmer for us. 23, 23, 23. Yeah, so 23 will be fine, but then we can actually do that. And the Airbus is pretty good at giving us warm air and separating it from the passengers. Some airplanes aren't so good, and you sort of have to adapt it for the cabin more than the cockpit. Harry says, not to speak too soon, but maybe next year when all things, fingers crossed, return back to normality, would we expect less streams from you as you'll be out flying in real life? If I'm flying full time, then yeah, I would stream less. Yeah, less. Hopefully not much less though. The streams are the magic of streaming is obviously, and I'm sure you guys know this. The magic of running a stream is that I need it takes more hours than you'd imagine. It always takes me a bit longer than I expect to set up a stream because you've got to think of the route, you've got to check it works in the simulator, and then you've got to make the thumbnails or ask your graphic designer to do the thumbnails and get it all loaded up and then set it up, and you've got to do that sort of a bit in advance so people know it's happening. But ultimately you can do that in sort of an hour the day before, and then you can look forward to it the next day. So with a little bit of planning, streams are hopefully not going to be too difficult. So I'm hoping streams won't suffer too much. The videos take a little bit more time, Yeah, so there may be less videos, but there'll still be videos coming out on the channel. And as I said before, already this year, or sorry, last year in 2020, in late summer 2020, I was still getting videos out quite regularly, even when I was also working quite regularly. So that was good. So it was a nice sort of test for me, a nice warm up to see how it would go. I also don't think I'll be flying. Well, I don't know. I hope that I'm flying regularly soon, but it's yeah, we'll see. Right, have we solved the phone question? Let's have a look. Let's see. Christian says, unknown approaches won't work in the experimental version at the moment. No, there we go. Yes, Papa, good to see you. Thanks for coming. Yes, Papa, our Discord guru. Thank you so much for coming and moderating. Yes, Papa. Amin says, what do you think about automatic takeoff and of the future of the pilots? Yeah, I think automatic takeoff's fine. We can already take off in ridiculously low visibility conditions, even in the 320. So, you know, if it's going to cost money to make an airplane automatically take off, it better have like an advantage. Now, it will eventually, but operationally, we're already able to take off in very low visibility. So, I don't think it's going to lead to pilots not being needed anytime soon, because what the computers can't do is handle anything dynamic. Put it that way. Thank you very much, John Michael, for your $5 donation. Really appreciate it, John. And there's the pair. The pair's made an appearance with a microphone, a mic drop. Thank you very much, John. Really appreciate it. I hope you're doing well. And great to see you here. And thanks for coming along to the stream. And thank you for your very kind donation. I hope you're doing well. Yeah, really appreciate it, John. Thanks. Ed says intercom. No, it's not the intercom. Wild Rumble says it's to talk to the ground crew. Nope, not the ground crew. Thomas says speaking to passengers. There we go. Thomas has got it right. As has Sam. Yep. Kai says talk to cabin crew and passengers. Nope, just the passengers. Yep. It's just the cabin PA. There you go. You guys got it. Oh, there you go. A few people have figured out how to do the dot plan. That's great news for them. So hopefully that works for Marcel. Ross says, do you have a tutorial on how to install it? Yeah, I don't, but that could be an idea for the future, because it has become a little bit more complex than it once did. MSJN says, so wing anti-ice should always be on in Microsoft Flight Simulator? Yeah, pretty much. In Microsoft Flight Simulator, whenever you see all that white ice on the airplane, yeah, that's when you would need to put the wing anti-ice on. Rathalin says, are the LEAP engines more powerful than the old CFM engines? Yes, I would definitely say they are. Now, statistically, I don't know. I don't know whether they have more horsepower or what they have, but flying it, yes. I mean, I'm sure they have more power, because all pilots will tell you they are faster. They're faster at the start of the takeoff. The biggest thing with the NEO, I think I talked about it when we first got the NEO on the Toliss, it's the fact that the initial spool up is a little bit slower, because they idle quite low, the NEO engines, and they got that big fan, a little bit of momentum to the fan. But when you release the brakes on takeoff and you set takeoff thrusts, so from the sort of the 50% up to flex, the airplane really bites the air. It's like it's got more torque. You know, in your car, when you can just put the foot down and it just goes. It really goes faster straight off the line. So it's quite interesting. Definitely noticeable. Mr. Sunlander says, first time watching A320NX live. Glad to see the plane veering is not exclusive to me. I often give the yoke a counter tap. Aloha from Los Angeles. Good to see you, Mr. Sunlander. Thanks for coming. I hope you're doing well in Los Angeles. A lovely, lovely part of the world. And yeah, we do have a little bit of veering on the 320NX. It's doing quite well today. Quite happy with its navigating. Hasn't been too confusing. Birdman says, on your hold tuition video, you lost the hold when you changed the runway. Does this happen on the real bus? Yes, it does. Yeah. If you change your arrival and that waypoint isn't there, or it tries to swap it over, yeah, easy to lose the hold by changing the runway, absolutely. So you must be careful with that one if you've entered it manually. Very few procedures in the Airbus. There are some. We haven't done a hold video because it just doesn't work yet. But there are some procedures that actually have a hold included automatically, but it's rare. GM Paolo says, how fast is the internet on board the airplane? I don't know. I've almost never used it. Marcel says, looking forward to your VATSIM videos after the chart series is completed. I use Pilot to ATC as VATSIM is often not available late night when I fly, but would really like to use VATSIM. Yeah, okay, nice. Yeah. Yeah, VATSIM stuff definitely on the way. Quite a big topic to cover, and I want to get the charts done so we can talk, you know, if you're going to go on VATSIM, being able to read the charts and understand which one you need and how to choose them and so on is going to be quite useful, I think. Vanraj says, I remember Sully picking up their phone saying brace for impact. There you go. Yeah, wow, what a moment. Ed Haslam says, what is the in-op device above the MCDU? Is it some kind of ACARS unit? That is the CPDLC, this little unit here. So this allows us to talk to air traffic control, and it will say on here, I don't know, climb flight level 370, and then you can press a little button and accept it, and then you can just do it. You don't have to use the radio. You still have to check in Europe. You still have to talk to them over voice when you first contact them, and then after that they'll start just sending you messages through this, and then you can use that to climb and descend. It means that the radios are much quieter, which means that there's more room for air traffic control to fit more aeroplanes in, but because they're not constantly talking, it also gives them more room to sort of manage aeroplanes, and means that there's usually 2 air traffic controllers doing a sector. You don't see that, but there's often one and then another one with them, sort of keeping a track of things and on the phone. I believe that that's the case. Anyway, we may have air traffic controllers in the chat who know otherwise, but yeah, it's quite. Certainly, when I visited them once, I remember there being 2. But either way, not having everyone talk on the radio really frees up a lot of space. It's great for us pilots as well, because we don't have to spend time reading it back. We can just check it on here, we can accept it on here, and we can also see it written out, so there's less room for misinterpretation, because both pilots see it here on both of these screens, and air traffic control can see it, and we accept it, and we can match it up, and then we can get rid of it. So we're setting it while still seeing the instruction. It's a bit like air traffic control giving you the instruction and then just keep repeating it until you do it. You know, it's available right in front of you. So it's really great feature, CPDLC. I think it works in... Does it work in the Flight Sim Labs 321 or 320? I think it might. 287. It's also mandatory these days. So in Europe, you've got to have it. Airlines do anyway. You might hear me again punching the microphone.
Wave 1.
Okay.
265, bye-bye.
We have some
Delta 265,
controller.
negative frequency is 128.1.
AC455 still. And this man's plane, there's no internet. No, exactly. This plane was brought out of storage since 1980, so you're not going to get any internet on this one. Where are we going? I always go to a nice view when I talk to air traffic control and then forget where I'm going. We're talking to control, yep. Control, bonjour, Manta 268, flight level 350 to Zamab.
Station calling a call sign on the please.
Manta 268.
Manta 268, had a small swear identified, squawk 1000.
Squawk 1000, Manta 268. I think this works actually.
Alpha Echo 410 to detect. Conjure 7 Alpha Echo, had a small swear identified.
It does, yes. It doesn't work in X-Plane, funnily enough, but it does work in this one. That's my little Logitech radio panel. Sorry, I'm talking to myself there. Yeah, agreed, Rasmus. That little detail of the Manta on the wing, yeah, it's nice, isn't it? Checkpoint says air traffic controller was my second aspiration after being pilot, but hey, it seems they don't like colourblind people missing emergency aircraft either. Ah, that's a shame. Yeah. It does depend.
Direct Resme.
Direct Resme, Manta 268. It does, apparently. I've been doing a little digging because we get, you know, we talk about colourblindness a few times on this channel. And there is a agency, well not agency, there's a group in the UK who are sort of working at making it possible, direct Resme, or certainly seeing which versions of, no, that doesn't look good. No. What's it done there? That doesn't look good at all. What's it done there? Let's pull the heading.
Parish Control, EZ90 with you at flight level 360, inbound for 4.
Let me check my flight plan. Yeah, apparently there's a group sort of looking at seeing what, because it is possible with certain.
5710 easy 90.
Oh, where does Resme fit into the flight plan? It is possible with certain versions of colour blindness. So yeah, I need to look a bit more into that before I give you guys any more information. Right, Resme. Then we should join Upper Lima 612. Okay, let's see if we can type it in. Resme. Airways, Upper Lima 612. Which will take all the way to Mulan. Oh. Let's try inserting it. This continues to be the biggest frustration with Microsoft flights. No chances there. Yeah, this is, we've got to get this fixed. It'd be so good when this is fixed. Such a shame. Such a shame. Anyway, there we go. Let's go back into nav and let's negotiate with air traffic control as we get a bit closer and test our abilities. But that's quite a few jumps. Let me just see what the track's meant to be. We could do each waypoint. We did manage to reload this once before. I remember we managed it. I just remember how we did that. Let's just cheat. Let's just go Mulan. Resme Mulan. I'm going to hope that those airways are pretty close to each other. There we go. It's hardly going to make any difference. And then ROA, which is the start of our arrival anyway. So that'll do. That's enough of a route. But yeah, why did that disappear there, you know? Oh well. These things happen. Some gloomy looking clouds beneath us. Yeah, Ed. No, I agree. The CPDLC system that Ed was asking about, yeah, it's a really great system. Josh says, agreed. So many times ATC might give a clearance to the wrong call sign. Lots of similar sounding call signs too, so CPDLC should help a lot. Yeah, it's really good. Ed says, how do you set the squawk on the Logitech panel? I really struggle with mine. So I use the bottom of the two controls. So the top one's on COM 1, the bottom one on the bottom left of the panel I switch all the way down to XPDR. And then you use the little knob to change the it is a bit confusing. Basically, you have to press the switcher on the row that you're using for transponder to switch between the 2 digits on the left and the 2 digits on the right, and then you can adjust it normally using the big and small dial. Yeah, it's a bit weird, but that's how it works. But it does work. You just have to get used to it. Matteo, good to see you. I hope you're doing well, Matteo. Matteo's doing some excellent streams as well at the moment. So yeah, thanks for coming on, Matteo. I hope you're doing very well. I'll have to copy Matteo's flight into Ciampino at some point. It looked great fun. Zephyr, I'm planning to do the RNAV into Grenoble. I'm hoping they let us do that. Wow, there's a lot of centres online. Johan says, I'm colourblind and that made me give up on my pilot dreams, but I'd be a terrible pilot anyway since I get panic attacks. Find out later in life, but love Sims though. Excellent, Johan. Well, yeah, I'm glad you're enjoying it through simulating. And yeah, it's not, it's not for everyone being a pilot. There's no doubt about it. But yeah, that's great. Great to hear that you've managed to enjoy the flying passion anyway. Hayden J. Robbins, thank you very much for your £3.20 donation. Really appreciate it, Hayden. As ever, I see what you did there. Thank you very much. And Hayden says, hi, thoughts on the flight dynamics in Microsoft Flight Simulator versus X-Plane? The problem is, it depends so much on the aeroplane. So, I would have said X-Plane is, easily better. But, as they update the flight model on the A320NX, it's really improved a lot. Now, it's still better in the Toliss. The Toliss behaves in every way, including on the ground, like much more like the real aircraft. But it's improving all the time on the 32NX. So I really don't know whether the simulator as a whole is the reason for the flight dynamics, or whether it's the individual aircraft. Now, one of my favourite flight models is DCS. I love all the airplanes in DCS. Everyone I've flown.
268, confirm your next waypoint.
I can't quite see it.
Manta 268, Paris.
Manta 268, next waypoint will be Moulin.
Roger, Manta 268, you are clear direct Resmi, Romeo Echo Sierra Mike India, proceed direct Resmi, please.
Apologies, we'll make sure we're going direct to Resmi. Sorry, Manta 268, we're having a few navigation issues. What is going on?
If you were direct Moulin, Mike Oscar uniform, just let me know, I can arrange that for you, but stand by.
That's okay, we'll make sure we're going direct to Resmi, and we'll just see what's going on here. Thank you. What is going on?
Manta 268, direct Resmi, then it's fine.
Direct Resmi, Manta 268. We actually have it. For once, I haven't forgotten to put it in the heading. As I said many times, the real airplane would do that automatically. Resmi? Come on, Resmi, there you go. Why is it... Yeah, it's going too far to the left. There we go. It just didn't seem to pick up the line. Should have been monitoring it a bit closer. But yeah, there we go. So thanks again for your donation, Hayden. And yeah, as to which is definitely better, it's just hard for me to say. Each airplane, a bit like FSX, some airplanes could spin and some couldn't. And it became the mark of a good add-on whether it could spin or not, I remember. Mateo says, I'm busy cooking, so I can stay, but I just wanted to pop by and say hi. So I can't stay, but I wanted to pop by and say hi to everyone and hit the like button and have a very good flight. Thanks, Mateo. Thanks for coming along. Banmaras says, VATSIM supports all major sims. Yeah, excellent. We will fly in America, SF Aviation. It will happen.
When you need higher.
See you later, Wild Womble. Thanks for coming.
And I've asked on call 2, confirm your next waypoint, you are not following your route.
A few people struggling laterally. Chris Holloway says, nice to join this stream. Thank you for taking off from my local airport. Definitely an interesting one for crosswinds and wind shear. Yeah, oh yeah, Leeds, Bradford. We're going to have to fly back there at some point, but I'm going to make sure it's a nice day because Leeds is full of some of the most impressive wind shears. It's up on a hill. It has often got a crosswind because of that north-south runway, whereas in the UK, westerly facing runways are most common because we often have a westerly wind. So yeah, Leeds can produce some interesting challenges. Sorry about that, guys. Just sorting a few things out, as ever. Yeah, right. Jumping back into the chat. How to not says, how do you print in the 320? Very simple. MCD menu, ATSU, AOC, and then I did a weather request. So just press send, and then in your received messages, you can select it to the meter, and then you press print, and there it is. It's that easy. It just works, just like the real airplane. Very nice. Very nice system indeed. Marcel says, how do you clear a flight plan so you can type in a new one? Well, I have done a video on this a little while back, changes. I wonder, does it work yet? Yeah, so you could put in a new destination. The ultimate way to totally dump everything be data, aircraft status, and then swapping the database. Bad idea though. You don't want to lose all the other data like your fuel predictions and so on. So you'd never really want to clear out the whole thing. But that, if you did that, you'd probably be able to get a new piece of information in here. You could also type in a new route in here, I think would work. It's not something we do in the real airplane very often, as you can imagine.
Paris controller, Polonia 106 on flight level 390 heading DSAC.
That Cirrus pilot says, colour blindness is no issue for a PPL. You can get your instrument rating too. The only thing you can't do is fly at night, but I think this is even under review. That's in the UK. Yeah, there's a lot of work going on. A lot of work. Let me just see if I can find the organisation I was talking about. But there's different, you know, regulations are changing a lot in the UK. I'm talking here.
Paris control, good evening. Manta 178, flight level 230. Manta 178 Paris, bonsoir.
There we go.
Identified squawk 1000.
Now, I don't know
1000, Manta 178.
everything about this, but I'm just going to put it into the chat there. It's a European-based organisation by the look of it, but just to send a few of you guys that way if you're interested in learning more. And their tagline is committed to change in colour vision regulation for pilots in Europe. So there you go. I only recently found out about them.
It seems you are on the right track to me, but I'll keep you updated on this.
Chris Holtz is the most used phrase by Airbus pilot. What's it doing now? You think so, but when...
Manta 268 contact Paris 128.1, bye-bye.
128.1 Manta 268. Thanks for your help. Goodbye. Very nice controller. We've had a few interesting controlling things recently on VATSIM on this channel.
Easy 82 Romeo Hotel, no further ATC at this time, Manta Unicom 122.1. Good.
I almost today decided to go for... No, I still got default scenery down there. I almost decided to go for the flight sim servers, but I might do a little poll one day and see if people want me to fly on the servers or VATSIM. But VATSIM obviously adds a nice sense of calmness and realism at times. It just can also cause headaches,
537 direct Soral.
especially when you're having sim travel as well.
Direct Soral, let's stop with 1537.
Control, bonjour, Manta 268, flight level 350 to Resmi.
Manta 268, bonsoir, identified direct Resmi, maintain 350.
To Resmi, maintain 350, Manta 268. There we go. So, in-flight entertainment today, jetpack away, it's just going to be me struggling to work out how to get the scenery working. Gary just subscribed to Matteo, there you go. Matteo, yeah, done some excellent flights. Ross says, I'm on a tighter budget. Is a 75Hz monitor any good for Microsoft Flight Simulator? Oh yeah. I wouldn't worry about the hertz for Flight Simulator. If you're only going to use it for Flight Simulator on your budget, I would look at the quality of the screen, you know. So the frame rate, unless you've got a really ridiculously powerful computer, getting a frame rate over 60 hertz reliably is very hard. I rarely get it, and I've got a relatively powerful computer, although already not the latest now. We've got a new generation of processors out, but yeah, it's not. I wouldn't worry about getting higher frame rates. That's just for if you're trying to play. If you're playing other games on it, yeah, higher frame rate might be good. It just depends how powerful your computer is. But for Flight Simulator, a 60 hertz screen would be fine. There is an update from Microsoft Flight Simulator to Aviate Henry. That's annoying. Since when does that happen on a Thursday? A Friday even? I thought we were totally safe. Oh dear. Typical.
Reporting back to cockpit.
Oh yeah, people already answered that question.
Paris Control, easy 90.
Simon C says, I've also not dared yet to fly in the US on VATSIM. I first have to learn to say descend and maintain in that fast way that they are doing. Really difficult as a German. There you go.
Maintain Mach decimal 78. Maintain Mach decimal 78, easy 90.
We've had a bit of a scenic route, Dr. Darren Naho. Good to see you. Thanks for coming along. But yes, luckily it seems to be behaving itself roughly with a bit of convincing, a bit of persuasion. Fingers crossed we can get the approach to work properly. We shall see in a second. Time to move to the UK, says Chickpoint. Yeah, sorry. Yeah, it's very UK/Europe based. Jake says, for a screen, nothing less than a 49-inch Super Ultra Wide will do. There you go. Ross says, I'm going to get my first PC soon. My specs will be Intel 5 with a GTX 1660 Super and 16 gigs of RAM. Lovely. Enjoy. I've flown in VR, Jed Sithor. And yeah, the mouse works in 3D in VR in Microsoft Flight Simulator. Really good. So it runs along the panels. So you could still, as long as you sit at the desk, and you can still reach a mouse with the VR headset on, you can use it to do this. Even better when you're flying, of course, just use your joystick. Joe says, if you have to step down in altitude then back up, is there a way to get the MCD back into climb cruise? There is indeed. I don't know if it works in this one, but all you do is go to progress page and you retype the level you're in there. If you go up, I think it would automatically do it even if you've descended, but if not, just input that level again there and it will work. In the real aircraft, if I was to accidentally activate the approach phase, I can just go here and re-enter the cruise level and it would work out for us. No, this I don't think they reverted the textures. They just look like they're new textures, I believe. Unless I've got it wrong, which is possible.
Bonsoir. Expect flight level 300, 300, level by Belob. Report ready for descent.
Although, no, you're right actually, because there used to be scratching along here and some scratching on these pedals a little bit. I'm not sure now. Something's definitely changed. It does feel more blue again. Have I got the wrong version? That'd be embarrassing. It's possible.
Direct Floral Alpha 2 November Romeo maintain 380.
It's possible. Thank you very much for your very kind donation to Elitis Maggie. Thanks for your $5 donation. Elitis Maggie says, thanks for the stream as always. You're very welcome. Thanks for coming along and thanks for supporting the channel yet again. Very kind of you, Elitis Maggie. And I hope you're doing very well in America. Really appreciate it. Thanks for coming along. And Ed Haslam, thank you, Ed, for your $2.99 donation. Really appreciate it. Ed says, thanks for the Logitech pointers. Great chat too. You're very welcome, Ed. Thank you for coming along as ever, and thank you for contributing towards the channel. Really appreciate it. So thank you, Ed, and thank you, Lisa Maggie. Very kind of you guys. Very kind. There's no top of descent yet on here, but there is in the calculator here. Spark Lab says hello from Cape Town. Hello to you. AC455 says they wait for you to stream and then hit the publish update. Yeah, it does feel like it. It does feel like it. Ross Grimshaw says, I'm 15 in Scotland, taking my exams in I think in 2022. Any tips on how to become a commercial pilot? Do as much research as you can. Speak to as many different people about it so you don't get just one person's view, because how one person did it may not work for other people. Apply for airline cadet schemes when it comes to it, because you getting that first job as an airline pilot is the hardest. So yeah, and also get your medical early on in the process, and that will at least let you know that you haven't got that barrier sitting there. Yeah, this is I'm really interested about these textures now, but yeah, so maybe you're at 15, it's not required yet, but yeah, a bit later on as you get a bit closer, the first thing you want to do before you even start looking at the flight schools, well, you can look at them, but don't apply to a flight school until you've got your medical, so you can pass it, or maybe not pass it, but maybe you need to do some extra things or to pass it might take a bit longer, so get that done nice and in advance. And yeah, apply to all the cadet schemes you can and show lots of enthusiasm for flying, and if you're lucky enough, if you can get a few sort of lessons or flights in a small aircraft, that shows enthusiasm. So hanging around at the airfield, if you can get sort of a little job or part-time job when you're a bit older, obviously not when you're 15, but if you're a bit older and you have the time, not focus on your exams first, obviously, and all your studying, but if you have time over the summer holidays or something to do a little bit of work around airfields and stuff like that, just to show that you really are interested and this is what you want to do, and doing a couple of flights in a small airplane, just to see that you like small aircraft as well and that you can handle it and enjoy it. You don't have to be good or anything like that, you just need to give it a go, just to show that you're keen. Yeah, that would be my tips, but get as much advice as you can. Yeah, Thursday's not the usual day. I thought Tuesdays were the usual for the updates, but there we go. Checkpoint says, hope my Microsoft Flight Simulator won't restart then. Already had enough trouble with the last update. Could export my scenery. Yeah, we're going to see. I'm going to fly all the way there, and then we're going to try, and if it doesn't work, we'll just jump to the ground and do it again. Estimated arrival, not too long now. The time is wrong in here, probably, but we should set up very shortly. Let me do that in just a minute. Loads going on in chat. Sorry guys, I'm running way behind. James says, I just got into my flight sim in VR for the first time. Just flew the Just Flight PA28. It was incredible, especially for someone who's never flown in a small plane. Yeah, fantastic. I love the VR. I absolutely love it. DB says, in your time as an Airbus pilot, have you ever been made aware of genuine bugs in the software? Yeah, there's a few, but you get made aware of them in advance normally. Normally someone else finds it before you do. 2 Point says, the textures got updated 4 days ago, including the glare shield. Right, yeah, I thought this was better. This is much smoother, which is more like the real airplane, because that is looking really good. Yeah, I thought they did. There's some really nice details around here. It does all look different now.
Manta 268, just confirm the routing you're on, because you're not following your route at the moment. Which waypoint are you routing to?
I'm so sorry. We are now routing direct to the moon on VOR, Manta 268, Mike Oscar uniform. Yeah, the airplane lost a lot of its route. I was hoping I'd made it back, but obviously not.
Yeah, it's alright then. Direct Mike Oscar uniform.
Thank you. So Mike Oscar uniform, and then we're planning to go from there direct to Romeo Oscar Alpha.
Yeah, that's fine. That's pretty straight anyway.
Thank you. There we go. Controller's being very, very nice and forgiving. But yeah, thanks, checkpoint. Good to know.
France 17, bonsoir, identifié radar, montée niveau 360.
Right. Sorry guys, loads of chat I'm going to have to miss out on. Again, come along to another stream and ask again in the cruise, and I'll try and answer. Ed's having fish and chips. Excellent. Enjoy that. Giuseppe says, going to retry this question. Thanks, Giuseppe. Yeah, I think I saw it earlier but missed it. Giuseppe says, yesterday I was landing in Osaka and got cleared for ILS to 32 left, sidestep to 32 right. Could you explain the procedure for such an approach? There is nothing in the charts. Ah, so the sidestep, right. So that is a video on its own, I'm afraid, Giuseppe. Yeah. Basically, if it's too close in, you can't do it. You'd have to just go around. If they let you, if they offer it, you'd say no. If you are offered it and you need it because the other runway is completely blocked, so they say you either go around or do that. If it's too late, you may have to just go around. If you're far enough out, you know, if you're still at 2,000 feet, then it's definitely possible, or even a bit later. Airlines will have their own ideas about what's acceptable and what isn't as well in terms of stable approach criteria, but that is a whole video, I'm afraid. But good idea for a video. Thanks, Giuseppe. I'll keep that one in mind. Yeah, the leather textures have been reworked. Yeah, much nicer now. I agree. Checkpoint says, I'm always lurking on their GitHub looking for juicy updates. Very good. Yeah, it does feel like being in France, York. I agree. Yeah, that seems great for that. You really feel like you are flying through these different countries. I do like it a lot. Update for the US stuff mostly. Okay, there we go. Okay, right, let's get ourselves ready for the approach, because we've done lots of talking, but this flight isn't actually quite as long as we've been saying. Let me just check. Oh, well, let me bring up the charts, in fact. So let me delete that. We are doing the Romeo Oscar Alpha. For those of you flying along, let me just check I've got the right one. I think there's only one arrival. Yeah, the one Alpha. And then we're going to use that to then fly the RNP for 27. Tiny little airport after we land. It is a really small airport, so this will definitely be a struggle to fit us all in. Right, guys, so here comes the fun. Load up the screen. Down to MCDU.
Top Swiss 1537, contact Brussels.
Arrival.
9575, bye-bye.
Actually, let's just print out another weather. You can see it was the westerly runway most certainly in use. Just check that there's not an ATIS suddenly online, which wouldn't surprise me.
Top Swiss 1537, contact Brussels 129575, bye-bye.
What's that? 12957.
Nope. Excellent. That makes our life easier, so we can do what we want, and we shall. So we do weather request, just request a new one just in case something's changed. No help from the FO at all. Yeah, sadly. AC455, I agree. I agree. It's a shame. Received messages. No. There it is. So that's good now. You shouldn't have to refresh these pages. They all do it automatically. Anyway, still 22011. So definitely coming round to land on the westerly runway, which is great news. So let's go to set up our top hat. So flight plan. Again, you would put in what you expect. But anyway, I'm doing the RNAV 27. Way too many arrivals for this small airport. Unbelievable. But there it is. Luckily, there's only one for what we want to do. So this is our arrival. We're going to go from the Roanne VOR to Goffog to Mebac to Arbon. I don't know why Simbrief does this, but anyway, Arbon. So RNF27, Roa 1 Alpha via Abret. No, we're not going via Abret. We're going via Arbon. So select Arbon. There we go. Right, so Arbon, Roman Alpha, and insert. So, Mu, Rabon, Goffog, Mebac, Arbon, LS402. So Arbon, and then we're going to fly this. Arbon, LS402 to Dopim, to LS401, to LS400. And then the most confusing waypoint I've ever seen in my life, I think. The ILS27 is a waypoint, though. It's the initial fix for the LS27. Unbelievable. I'm really surprised. There is no ILS onto runway 27, but there it is. ILS27 as a waypoint. So we'll go from that to FLS27 and then to runway 27. all so far so straightforward, hopefully. In terms of descent planning, well, we're going to go all the way south of the airfield. So at Dopim, maximum 200 knots, 4,500 feet. Now there's a mandatory 4,500 feet at LS 400. So what that says to me is I can be above 4,500 feet at Dopim. I need to be at 4,500 feet at LS 400. So let's look in here. LS 401, it's at 4,500 feet. So that is good. So this is actually a reasonable descent plan, but we know VNAV doesn't really work. It's also got a 4.5 level at Dopim. It's got a constraint in there, but we don't actually need to be at 4.5, so we'll do our own descent planning as per usual. So we'll work it out based on distances to the airfield. We could even use that ILS DME. So basically, I need to be 7,000 feet. I want to be around 7,000 feet here. However, there is a bit of runway elevation is actually quite high. You can see airport elevation 1,300 feet. So I could be 8,000 feet at Dopim, and that'll be fine. So I'll just write that down now. So 8,000 feet at Dopim, and there is already a speed limit 200 knots, very slow. So the challenges of this approach is the terrain. See this terrain beneath us? We'll be 4,500 feet, but the terrain goes up to 2,700 feet. So the radio altimeter will come alive as we go over this ledge. What does that mean? Well, that means we are going to need to not be diving down. So I don't want to be really high here. For example, if I'm up at Flybywire 100 at NS 402 and I dive down towards Dopim, I'm going to set off the GPWS because the terrain is really low beneath us. So very important we do that right. So I want to be nice and stable. So 8,000 feet here would be possibly fine. But then that's 4,000 feet to lose in 8 miles. Actually, no, that's no good at all. Because of this mandatory, this is unusual. In terms of track miles, we could do it, so I'm going to lower that. Let's just say we want to be 5,000 feet at Dopim, and then just 6. We can do 6,000 feet at Dopim. 6,000 feet. This is why it'll be a discussion. The pilots discuss this on every approach. You know, come up with a plan together. As long as you agree the plan together, that's the key part. The problem with me doing this on my own is that you see me sort of miss things. So Dopim, 6,000 feet. Then we very gently can come down to 4.5 easily in 9 miles. So I need to be 6,000 feet, only 5,000 feet above the airport. Like I said earlier, we could have made it from 8, but we can't make that restriction very quite as easily. Good stuff. Right, so that is a bit of a plan. The speed's already going to be low, 200 knots, so this is going to be a very slow, dragged-in approach. We're not going for efficiency here, we're going for safety and stability. So no diving down here because of the terrain beneath us, no going too fast here because of these. This is a 90-degree turn, so these are tight turns. Another reason not to be fast, and you're part of this 200 knot speed limit. Once we turn around the corner as well, you'll notice a really short distance from the RS27 to the FLS. It's 3.5 miles, and you've got to get down from 4,200 feet to 3,700 feet. Again, mandatory. You're not allowed to be higher as you intercept that path, and it's not on ILS. We've got to do it ourselves. So how are we going to do that? Right, so I want to be 200 knots, maximum 4,500 feet at LS 400. I'm going to aim to be 4,500 feet, of course. And I'm going to be 180 knots there, so I'm going to be at least flap 1. I'm going to put flap 2 out by ILS 27. And if we're flap 2, 180 knots, we will easily be able to then dive down here. But I want to be even slower. I want to be 160 knots as we turn this corner. And the magic of that is, if we're 160 knots flap 2 as we turn around this corner, we'll have loads of room to get down to 3.7. It's only a, 500 foot difference. So 500 feet, we can lose that without the plane accelerating because we'll have the drag flap out, the flap 2. So, let me just check that my microphone is on. I'll just jump into the chat very briefly. Windows Seat is home. Excellent. Glad you made it home. Thanks for coming along. Windows Seat, our resident engineer. Sorry guys, I'm missing all the chat, but lots to talk about for this one. Okay, right. Yeah, so we're going to be flap 2, and that way the airplane won't accelerate when we get down to 3.7. Then we can't fly this using VNAV. It doesn't work in this mod, but it's funnily enough, it's not always possible to use in real life for various reasons. You can see there's different minima. If we were using LNAV VNAV, we could use this, but we aren't. We are going to use LNAV only, so we have to use a minimum of 1740. The reason there's a difference is because this is more accurate guidance, but look, you can't always use LNAV VNAV. LNAV and VNAV is not authorized below -30. The reason for that is it won't be able to compensate for the fact that cold air means you'll be lower, so you'll be too low. because very cold air means that the altitude, it affects the pressure. So even though you've set the right QNH, it would actually still mean that you're sitting a bit lower.
266, you live in airspace, monitoring you come on 22.8, bye-bye.
Hope that's not us. I think you said 266.
Unicom 122.8, speedbird 266.
Speedbird, yeah, cool.
Hamburg 2 Charlie Alpha.
Yeah, so you'll notice that below minus 30, we can't use VNAV. So then we would go back to LNAV. We would then fly it ourselves and have to apply an adjustment to these altitudes. These are the altitudes we're going to fly in that descent. It's a slightly steep approach, 3.3. So you'll notice that if it's really hot, the opposite happens. You'll be so high because it's hot that your vertical angle was going to be really steep. It'll be above 3.5. Now, there's nothing wrong with that, but that is pretty steep. So it's something to be aware of. But it doesn't say you're not allowed to do it because, of course, you're higher, so you're a little bit safer. But if it was above 29 degrees, then that is going to be a very hard approach to keep the airplane stabilized on, because it's going to be so hot and you'll be running through the air faster because the air's less dense and you'll be higher, and it could be quite interesting. Now, I did practice this, and I've found out that the PAPIs may show 3 whites, so the PAPIs won't be too reliable. They may be aligned to 3 degrees, and we're going to come in a little bit steeper at 3.3, so we won't be too surprised if we see that. So the plan for this, guys, is we're going to fly it in nav mode, and then we'll use FPA like we did for our VOR into Corfu. So 3,700 feet level, then we will convert to track FPA, and at 6.8, so it's 7.1 miles from the runway, or even better, 0.3 miles before FLS 27. I will pull the FPA of 3.3 for the descent, and we have to be fully configured, and we'll do flat fall just before we start down, and that way we should end up on the approach. And then we'll adjust by monitoring these altitudes during the descent. Oof, there's a bit of a wind change. That was interesting.
Easy 90. Easy 90, descent level 360 further in a second.
So there's a bit of a plan. We'll be fully configured as we start down, so we'll be pretty slow, but we can use 3.2 degrees as we descend down that. So there we go. So that is a bit of a plan for the approach, and a few of the differences of using an RNAV approach. Lucas, thank you very much for your $5 Canadian donation. Really appreciate it, Lucas. Lucas says, can we convince you to do a turnaround back to Leeds or Heathrow? The stream has been too short for a Friday evening. Sorry, Lucas, it will be getting to my dinner time there. So sorry, we won't be doing that today. But yeah, we can do a longer stream another time.
268, descent flight level 240.
Descent flight level 240, Manta 268. 120 miles. We've got more track miles, as you can see, 158. But air traffic's told us we don't get the choice. 240. Start off with a vertical speed. Let's do 1,000 feet per minute.
268 is the run 1 alpha arrival.
Run 1 alpha, Manta 268. That's what we're expecting. Vertical speed minus 1,000. Outblue 240. Excellent news. Maybe the controller's going to let us do it. Anyway, we got that arrival, so fingers crossed that stays. But thank you very much, Lucas. Really kind. Thank you for the donation. Really, really appreciate it.
Run 1 alpha arrival.
Andy says, hi, Captain. It's been a while since I've had the chance to watch your stream. Glad to know I haven't missed anything yet. Hope you could grease that plane. Well, we'll see. If you saw my last stream, you'll know we didn't manage it then. Victor Tango has to go. Dinner time. I'm really sorry, Victor Tango. I always seem to plan it over your dinner. But thanks for coming along. And yeah, we'll see you again soon.
KLM 1497 direct.
Zephyr says, so the QNH given by the meter doesn't compensate for temperature? No. Great point. If it's really cold or hot, that still affects your density altitude, so the airplane will be higher or lower. If it's cold, it will be lower than your altimeter is reading. It's only really applicable for extremes of temperatures. But yeah, so there we go. MSA is all very high, 8,000 feet. This is something we can't load into the fly-by-wire yet, sadly. But there we go. So, how are we going to judge our distance to the runway? It's distance to runway 27. Luckily, I know this works because after FLS 27, the next waypoint is the runway, so we can actually just look at the top right of our navigation display to see that, and that will work out for us nicely. If we go around, climb to LS 410, straight ahead basically, maximum 220 knots, and turn left to Arbon to hold 5,000 feet. So we'll just go straight ahead, and then we'll go to Arbon. It's not coded in, but we can manage that. Just a little bit ahead and then left, and we'll go to Arbon. And the going altitude, 5,000 feet.
Paris, good evening. Easy 51 X-ray Lima is climbing through flight.
So we'll set that later on. So, let's put that in here. So flight plan we've done, and we've checked. RadNav. Is there any DME to use? It's just based around the instant approach. You see, it's all RNAV. There's not much in terms of nav aids. There is just the ILS DME for the other runway, but I'm not going to put that. It's going to be confusing, so I'm going to leave it alone. Progress page sadly does not work. I can't wait for this to work. I know they are working hard on it.
Easy 90, descent flight level 3.
But I would put the runway threshold in here, just keep me up to date on what's going on. Time for the performance. QNH 1019. Temperature 13. Yeah, a bit warm for skiing perhaps. Good access here to Les Deux Alps, a ski resort that I have been to. Magnetic wind 22015. Transition altitude, a little bit hard to say. It's obviously by air traffic control, as I always say. If we go to the SID charts, the altitude on departure is 5,000 feet. Surprisingly low considering the terrain around. So with a high QNH like we've got today, I would say flight level 60. But I'll just put 6,000 feet in there. Still needs work, that page, but there we go. VLS 126 will definitely do a flat full landing. The reason we have to do...
268, descent flight level 180.
Some flight level 180, Manta 268.
Easy 90, descent flight level 180.
Right.
180, easy 90.
18, pull.
LM 1073, descent flight level 240.
Let's go to... Just check that speed for the descent. It wants to do 288, so that should be fine. So there we go. All looking good. Down to 180, blue and armed, out blue. Yeah, we had to do flat full. Because of that slightly steeper approach, it would be silly to do flat 3 because the aeroplane may not have enough drag, it may accelerate, and also the vertical speed would be so high. Barrow, 1740.
KLM27 Whiskey, hello. Can you just
Here we go.
your flight plan for me, please?
This FLS thing, this is a fancier MCDU than I'm used to. There we go. Go around altitude, it goes into engine out, acceleration, 5,000. There we go. So flight plan we've done, rad nav we've done, progress per secondary. Fuel, that should load up. A little surprised it isn't. There we go, not sure. Anyway, does it have a discontinuity in it? No. Seem to have lost our fuel calculation. Either way, we've got loads of fuel. 6.6. Enough to go back. Maybe.
1497, contact Paris 128.
Thank you again, Lucas, for the donation. John says, never knew that temp changes make a difference to out, even if you have right connection. Yeah, they do indeed. Yeah, only at the extremes, but there we go. Is the 230 not restriction at Arbon only for the holds? Good question. No, so I can't quite see all this. Why does it do this to me? Hold over Arbon. So there is some information for the hold at Arbon. 5,000 feet is our minimum altitude, maximum 220 knots. I can't see a speed restriction otherwise though.
KLM27 Whiskey, thank you, identified. Direct Soral, maintain
max 220 knots. Interesting. Interesting. Thank you very much, Kai. Yeah, I did forget them for a bit there, but the charts were... I'm luckily managing to blend it in subtly, as if I meant to leave them up the whole time now. So hopefully no one's noticed. Yeah, that's an interesting one.
1254550, bye-bye.
12545, Manta 268, goodbye. Ooh. I would say... No, I'd say that Arbon restriction does apply in this case. If it was only written on that little hold part, then I would agree. Then I would say that it does not apply. But I'm going to say we need to be 220 knots passing Arbon. The reason I say that is it's written here for Arbon, max 220. Then the hold information is here, max 220, max flight level 140, minimum hold altitude 5,000 feet. So there you go. Yeah, 220 knots would apply. There we go. Get rid of those charts, sadly. Right, let's check in. Control, bonsoir, Manta 268, descending flight level 180 to Gofog.
XMX 268, Lyon, Portugal, Victor radar contact. Expect RMP approach runway 27 at Grenoble.
RMP 27, Manta 268. Merci. Grenoble.
XMX 268, descent flight level 100.
Descent flight level 100, Manta 268. Right, 100. We're doing absolutely fine for altitude, so let's back off on the speeds. The vertical speed. 200 feet per minute will be fine. Going to Gofog now. And what did I miss there? Danny Roble, thank you so much, Danny, for your $5 donation. Really appreciate it. Danny says, good evening, Captain. Done with work. And glad
268 route direct to Arbon Alpha Romeo Bravo Oscar November.
Direct Arbon Manta 268. Thank you very much, Danny. Let's hope this works. Arbon. Okay, I won't do any more directs though. I won't accept any. I'll just tell him no. Thank you very much, Danny, for your donation. Really appreciate it. Danny says, good evening, Captain. Done with work. I'm glad I can make it for the landing. Never heard of the airport before, to be honest, but nice stream as always. Excellent. Well, don't listen to my pronunciation.
Thank you, sir. Report downwind.
Air traffic control there was far more correct. And I can only apologise for that. But yeah, Grenoble.
Grenoble I. Right now. Are we able to join, go straight ahead and then join the final for the 17 left? Is that possible?
That's approved. So
engine out acceleration we do, because if you have an engine out and you're on a single engine and you go around, you'll climb all the way up to the go around stop altitude, the level off altitude, to level off and accelerate. You won't accelerate halfway up. That is a whole video on its own. Marcel says, just to say the sound balance with you and ATC is perfect. That's good, because it's hard for me to tell, so thanks very much for that. Good to know. Lucas says, donation to my favourite YouTube channel. So my favourite channel is not a problem. You're welcome and thank you for all you do. Thanks, Lucas. Really appreciate it. Thank you, Panda. Hello.
Leon, approach EZ90 with you, flight level 180.
Aman says, what does entering and landing win in the FMS do? Please look up my ground speed mini video. If you search 320 SimPilot ground speed mini, that will talk about what entering the wind does. That's the main thing the Airbus uses it for. It may use it to plan some of the final approach speeds as well. It's very clever stuff. But that's the main reason, ground speed mini.
What's the flight level again?
Can the missed approach be coded? I haven't tried, Pete, and I won't try today because I don't want to mess up what I've got so far. But I'd be surprised if it can, Pete. Yeah, I'd be surprised, sadly. In the Toliss and explain it, we would automatically load in. Keith says, what's the relevance of the dew point? So the dew point is the temperature at which the air can no longer hold all the water. So hot air can hold more water. If you take air that's at 20 degrees and it has a dew point of 15 degrees, what it means is there's quite a lot of water in the air. So if you cool it down by 5 degrees, it will turn into a cloud, basically. It will go foggy. That's why when you see those foggy sort of areas build up on the grass or something like that, or in the early morning, what's happened is the coldest temperature you'll experience will be just before dawn. That's when it's coldest. So what happens is what's happened there, the reason you get fog in the morning, is the air was relatively moist yesterday or in the evening, and then it's been cooling down all night, and eventually it cools down to the point where it reaches its dew point and it can't hold all the water, so it becomes saturated with water, and the water comes out of the air and turns into droplets, which is the fog, the clouds. So that's what clouds are. They're air that's risen, full of water, and then as they rise, this instability has... there's different sorts of clouds, but one way is they rise, and then they cool down as they rise because they expand as they lose pressure, which cools them down, and then eventually they reach the dew point, which means all the water comes out. So if you see a dew point that's 1 degree below the actual temperature, you know that if it cools down, there's a big risk of fog. So if it's in the evening and the temperature's dropping, then I'd be worried about fog if I saw 1 degree difference. If it's in the morning and they're 1 degree difference, I'd be more happy because I know the temperature should rise, making the gap bigger. So that's what the dew point tells pilots. Josh Ho, thank you very much for your $5 donation. Really appreciate it, Josh. Josh says, thanks for the great stream. You're very welcome, Josh. Thanks for coming along. I'm really glad you're enjoying it. Thank you so much. Really kind of you. I hope you're doing very well. And Johannes B, thank you, Johannes, for your $11.91 donation. Really kind. Johannes says, as always, thank you very much for the stream and have a good landing. Thank you so much, Johannes. You're very welcome. Thanks for coming along today and joining in. Really, really generous for supporting the channel, as always. So thank you again, Josh and Johannes, for your very kind donations there. Really, really appreciate it, guys. Very, very generous, as I always say. Far too generous for this channel. So yeah, so that's hopefully given you a bit of an idea of what we are talking about, or why pilots care about the dew point. Let's go to constraints. Lyon is a very nice airport to fly to. Yeah, you're very welcome, Josh. And yeah, thank you very much again to Josh and Johannes. Ed's back. Did I miss any pizza talk? No pizza talk today, luckily. So I won't have to have a pizza for dinner. I'm doing well, Jenna. Thanks for coming. Lawrence Smith says, what an excellent explanation of dew point. Very interesting. Thanks, Lawrence. Glad it works for you. Appreciate it. Matthias Ricardos, thank you very much for your very kind $13.73 donation. Sorry about the currency. It always shows up as dollars at my end, but thank you so much. Really appreciate it. Matthias says, always a relaxing stream like an audiobook. Fantastic. Glad to hear it, Matthias. Thank you so much for your very kind donation. Again, really generous, and thank you for supporting the channel. And I'm glad you guys are enjoying it. It's great. It's great when you guys are. So thank you so much. Thank you, Matthias Ricardos, for your kind donation.
Global 4, welcome to Lyon, right, Bravo 6, cross runway.
Excuses, says Varislav, thank you. Good point. Steep approach. That would be the easy excuse for this one. Also a little bit windy. And there is a lot of terrain around, so let me bring up those charts for you one last time. But yeah, steep approach is going to be my excuse today, no doubt. So if you look, we're coming in, the wind's coming from here, so it's not too bad actually, but on approach, the wind's coming from the southwest. You're going to get a lot of turbulence because of this high area of terrain. So yeah, so we have to sneak in with this terrain behind us, so you could have turbulence here. We're also going to have the wind blowing us onto that final approach. So yeah, it's going to be an interesting approach. This could be quite choppy. I'd expect turbulence. In real life, if I was doing this, I would very much expect turbulence. So you'd make sure you have the cabin crew sat down a bit earlier for this one, and the passengers sat down and secured. Because I'd say here, when we're at 4,500 feet, look, this terrain behind us is at 5,700 feet. So this terrain's well above us. So yeah, we are going to feel some bumps off that terrain. Especially if you had a southerly wind. Maybe not too bad with a southwesterly, I would hope. Mickey just finished a prosciutto pizza. Excellent. Marcel, I agree, the FO's not been much help at all. She's still snoozing over there in her little house. I don't think she's realised the stream is going on today. Mr. Espresso says, since my Microsoft Flight Simulator sim crashed, I'll fly a pattern at LS with a Pippa shell and take a look at that terrain. Excellent, Mr. Espresso. Yeah, great way to enjoy it, and at least you'll have the scenery. I'm planning to try and do the same, to load it in at the last second. Let me just load up the recorder. Someone please remind me to do the recorder on final approach. I was terrible last time. I was really bad at doing that.
1073, continue descent flight level 100.
Flight level 100,
Johan says, I just got rudder pedals today, and oh boy, it feels like I never taxied before in my life. Takes a while to get used to, I bet, being just using keybinds for rudder. Yeah, it will take a while, but rudder pedals make a big difference. The taxiing handling in Microsoft Flight Simulator is rubbish. It's just no good. So the behaviour on the ground is not what real airplanes are like. So if you find it difficult, don't worry. It's not that bad in real life, but you'll get used to it and you'll be able to keep the airplane on the runway, and it will help you out with crosswinds and so on. So maybe I'm being a little bit harsh there, but the ground handling is just not realistic at the moment. Yeah, the ETA have disappeared. We've lost a few things. I'm a little bit worried. I'm relying on this DME counter working for the final approach because that's how I'm going to check my altitude. If that doesn't work, it's going to be really difficult because our progress page also doesn't work. But that's how we would judge the altitude normally in the real aircraft. That value leads to Grenoble, says Mark. Excellent. There you go. The ATC chatter is real ATC. Yep.
Global 4, you may leave the frequency. Have a good night in Lyon. Catch you soon.
Salakin says, having had this approach discussed, I'll have to try it tomorrow as long as not upset by Microsoft Flight Simulator update. We shall see.
Lufthansa 999, Papa, radar contact 2400. Continue climb to flight level 140.
Georg says, I just had the controller give a takeoff clearance as a real life pilot.
268, enable speed 220 knots indicated.
220 knots, Manta 268. The problem we got here is we're very much sequenced in, so we're not going to be able to do that terrain thing I wanted to do. 220 knots. We've got a nice low vertical speed, so we should be able to wash off that speed quite simply. I'm a bit annoyed. I mean, it's all right with this sort of patchy fields. This is all we get in an X-plane. Hopefully the vertical profile is loaded in. Does that work? Does anyone know? Will we still have... We won't have the pictures, but will we have the mesh data? It looks like the mountains are there. The Alps. There we go. Distance is working now. 10.2, 10.1. That's good. There's Outstar, flight level 100.
268. When stable at 220 knots indicated. Descend to 5,000 feet. QNH Grenoble 1018. Clear RNP approach runway 27.
When 220 knots, cleared to send 5,000 feet and cleared for the RMP Zulu 27 at Grenoble Manta 268. Oh, I tried, didn't say that right. Okay, so lots of important information in that call. First of all, when at 220 we can go to 5,000. So I'm going to put 5,000 feet in now. There it is. We're already basically at 220, so I'm just going to go thrust idle open descent. No problem there. We're about to pass LS402, so that's fine. Crucially, we need to set the QNH, so I'm going to push that in and then we're going to cheat. Press B.
KLM 1073, whenever speed 220 knots indicated.
Yeah, it's just 1013. We haven't even got real weather, although we do have that southwesterly light breeze, so that should work out for us. This is a bit frustrating, guys, I know, but there we go. Thank you very much, Jackety, for your $6.86 donation. Really appreciate it, Jackety. Jackety says, thanks for all your guidance and amazing videos. You're very welcome. Thank you so much for your very kind donation. Really, really appreciate it, Jackety, and I hope you're doing very well. Thanks for coming along to the stream, and thank you for supporting the channel. Really kind of you. Thank you. Okay. Right, so we're going down to that. So they've said you're cleared for the RMP Zulu. So from 5,000 feet, that means we're cleared to follow the procedure we discussed earlier. It's very important that we remember that. So we're going to LS402, and then we're going to turn left. So we can go down to 4,500 feet basically straight away, because I need to be 4.5 sort of shortly after doping. So we're back at 220 knots, so the speed is under control. I'm just going to put 4,500 feet in now.
XMX 268 from now. Speed is yours. Report final runway 27.
Free speed and Wilco Manta 268. Is it worth the risk of pausing and trying to load it up? I think not. I think not, because the terrain's loaded in. It's just the map, so we'll just survive.
Down to 5,000 feet.
Okay, so we're going to 4,500 feet now. We're on the QNH, so that's all looking good. Speed is under control, 220 knots, so this is all as we expected. Let's run the approach checklist. Briefing is confirmed. Decam status is checked. Below 10,000 feet, so we'll get those seatbelt signs on, get those landing lights on. And yeah, seatbelts are on. Barrow ref is on 1013. MDADH is set at 1740. Engine mode selected normal. That's the approach checklist complete. Right, so from here we're going to go LS402 to dope him. And then we need to get down to 4.5 and below 200 knots by LS401. I'm going to get rid of the chart for you guys now. Thank you very much, Philly Rush, for your €5 donation. Really appreciate it, Philly. I hope you're doing well. Thanks for donating towards the channel, and thank you very much. I hope you're enjoying the stream. But yeah, great to see you. Thanks, Philly. Alexander Beck says, the first rough version of the small thing I wrote to you on DC will be done this evening, and I'll send it to you. Fantastic. Thanks so much, Alexander. Really kind of you. Thank you. Looking forward to that. Yeah, and I meant to reply to your message, but yeah, as ever, haven't got around to everything yet. Right. VDEV doesn't really work. Yeah, I know we have a VDEV scale. So here's the problem. Look, we're diving down at 1,600 feet per minute, but we're pointing right at this terrain, which is going to rise up beneath us. So let's control that. Oh, let's pull the vertical speed and wind it. Let's get it under control. And what I'm going to do is activate the approach phase. Let's start slowing down. So we're below flap 1 speed. So we'll go to flaps 1. Get it right under control now.
KLM 1073.
And we need to report final.
Descent altitude 5,000 feet.
The barrier field on the perf page.
8, clear.
We put in the minima in this one. 1740. Michael says, I'm a former first officer with Cathay Dragon. We ceased operation last October. Oh, that's sad to hear. Sorry to hear that, Michael. Michael says, and I last flown a year ago. Seeing your stream makes me feel like I'm in the seat once again. Thanks for that. Keep it up. Thanks, Michael. Thanks for coming along. And I'm really sorry to hear about it. I hope you get another job soon. Fingers crossed the market picks up and we find ourselves all very busy in the next couple of years. But yeah, thanks for coming along and thanks for saying so. Really, really appreciate it. Record. Thank you very much. I will. Yeah, I think we'll start recording now. Let's do it. Okay, so we're coming downwind now. We want it to be 4.5 by LS401, and we need to be below 200 knots, which we are, so that's all working out fine. Thanks for the reminder, guys. Okay. So here's the terrain, and here's the terrain on our right. That's such a shame about the pictures. I'm sorry about the default view. Maybe I'll remake this into a video one day, Outstar, but it's just too risky. Look at that great terrain display on here. That's really detailed.
2,500.
There's a radio altimeter, so it's coming alive early. No surprise there, because we're passing over this high terrain. Lucky passengers enjoying their view, getting ready for the Alps.
Miles behind the Airbus A320, reduce speed 180 knots or less.
Okay.
180 knots or less, easy 90.
Easy's being slowed down behind us. Apologies. It could be the fact that we have the wrong wind in here, because we aren't getting live weather through, but there we go. Oh, of course, medium water brake. Oh, I spent so long talking about the approach. Yeah, we're going to go medium water brake. It's a massive, great runway, but I just want to make sure we can get off the runway in time. Oh, actually, no, we're going to go low water brake. Sorry, ignore me. Low water brake, so we can roll down, because I don't think we'll make any of the first exits. And then we'll vacate to the left.
Piste 16, autorisé touché, vent 200 degrés.
Okay, all looking good. You can go below these S speeds, so if I wanted to go, I could go to 180 knots. It's an unusual thing to do in the Airbus. Normally you'd expect to go to flap 2, but S speed is usually 180. We're a little bit heavy today because we're taking the return fuel, it seems. So yeah, so we'll just reduce that speed back a little bit now. Robert says, can you load in the scenery while doing the replay? Good point. Let's see if we can do that. That might be nice. Arco says, hello from St. Louis. I just wanted to say that I love your channel, content and insight. Your tutorials have helped me get back into sim flying after an 8-year hiatus. Keep up the good work. Thanks, Arco. Really appreciate it. I hope you're doing well in St. Louis. Thanks for coming along, and thanks for the kind message. Really appreciate it. MSJN's back in for the landing. You are indeed. Dark Lazar says, hi mate, I'm a Jet 2 pilot. We aren't flying until June now. Oh, not flying until June. Okay, well, fingers crossed something picks up. Hopefully it's a busy summer for us after June. Yeah. Sadly, that isn't too surprising. Yeah, I'm like, as you guys know, I'm not flying at all either, really. Sadly. Domingo Da Vinci, good to see you. Domingo Da Vinci says, good to see your stream again. I haven't been around much lately, but I hope you're doing well. I'm doing well, and good to see you back. Yeah, I noticed. Yeah, so good to see you here. Okay, right, getting focused in now. We are about to turn onto the approach. So we're still going to stay at 4.5. Remember, we can only descend down to our next one at 3.7. Anyway, I'm going to get flap 2 out now. I'm going to slow down to 160. I know it's a bit of a pain for the traffic behind, but that's just how it's going to be. At ILS 27, we can be 4,200 feet. In fact, it's a mandatory.
11 nautical miles behind the Airbus A320.
So, down we go.
Speed 180 knots or less.
Let's do 700 feet per minute. See, if I slow down too much, all the traffic behind gets slowed down, sadly. Next, it's going to turn left. So let's get the speed now back to 160. In fact, easiest thing to do, let's just manage it, let it come back to F speed. There's out star, so we're at 4.2, and now it's going to turn left again. So this is where we would arm approach, but it won't work in this airplane. I don't want to mess it up either. We're going to do what we briefed. There's out. Right, after ILS 27, we are now okay to descend down to 3,700 feet. And I say okay, it's actually mandatory, so we must go down to 3.7. Vertical speeds. Let's do 600. We've got flap 2 out, so we've got lots of drag. Let's get the gear down now. It does seem early, but it is required because we're going to have to be fully configured when we start down. Gear is down.
Global 4, Lyon, approach, hello again, sir,
it's not bad. To be honest, it's not bad scenery in Microsoft Flight Simulator. It's just, yeah, not anywhere near as good as we get used to. Getting a bit slow. The real airplane is a bit better at targeting F speed. So the VDEF sort of works, but there's that star. Right, FLS 27. So let's go to flap 3 now. Get rid of that. That VLS will go lower when we put out flap 3. Gives us more room. Yeah, so there's the radio altimeter, 2,500. Makes sense. There's terrain beneath us. We are now going to start down at 0.3 miles before FLS 27. We are currently 1.1. And we need to convert. Track FPA. 3.3 in here. Oh, it's jumped to the next waypoint. That's annoying. It didn't do that yesterday. Anyway, 3.3 is armed. Oh, I can't really tell now. That's annoying. Somewhere there. Flaps to full. And let's pull that 3.3. And there we go. FPA 3.3. VLEV scale coming down with us. I can't believe it. Maybe it's working. Anyway, the speed should come back. We're fully configured, so it will keep flying 3.3 degrees as we come down. So distance to the runway at 6 miles, I want to be 3440. I can set the going altitude now, 5,000 feet. 5,000 feet in there. See, this is where the Fly-by-Wire team have done a remarkably good job with everything, getting all the systems to work. So that looked a little bit high, so let's go to let's try 3.5. Next waypoint, 5 miles from the runway, I want to be 3090. Manta 268, final approach 27.
Grenoble 268, thank you, sir. Runway 27, clear to land. The wind 220 degrees, 14 knots.
Clear to land 27, Manta 268. We are clear to land. Next one will be the landing checklist.
Startup is approved for VFR.
So we missed that one. 4 miles, 2750. Let's see what happens there. In the meantime, arm nose. Last of the lights on. And thing on the cabin crew. You can see there's so much to do. 4 miles, 2750. We are bang on. So I'll go back to 3.3 now. We've regained it. 3.3. Going altitude's in. We are visual. Landing checklist is cabin is secured. Auto thrust is in speed mode. Go around altitude is 5,000 feet set in blue. Eco memo. Landing the blue. And here we go then. Next check, 3 miles. We want to be 2,400 feet. Again, I'm just taking this off the chart. 3 whites, we were expecting that on the Pappies. 3 miles, 2,400. So that's all working out. Right, time to focus up and land. So we are visual. I'm going to go autopilot off. Flight director's off. And the trick here is don't do anything. Don't fiddle with it too much. It's doing its job. We're in speed mode. In fact, since I've recalibrated my throttles, it's a bit more reliable. It's quite good. And just keep coming down towards that touchdown zone. If you fiddle now, you'll just destabilize it like I've just done. We're already clear to land. We've done our landing checklist. You could transition to 2 whites, 2 reds on the Pappies. That's an alternative. But as I said, we're doing a 3.2 degree approach effectively. And those Pappies probably set up for 3 degrees. It does depend. Some airports have them angled correctly and some don't bother.
Minimum.
There we go. Don't want to get any lower than that. Starting to feel a bit low there. Let's see 3 whites. I think those are definitely a bit low, that angle. This feels more shallow. Could be the terrain data's a little bit off as well. Oh, still very sensitive on pitch. See, those Pappies are way off. No way we're 4 whites here.
100.
There's 100.
50, 40, 30, 20, retard. 5.
Okay, there's touchdown. And I've got low auto brake, so we'll just roll it to the next exit. Because there's no point trying to come off at this first one.
Are you already moving, sir?
Using max reverse.
Negative.
Just taking the strain off the brakes. Okay, let's go to reverse idle. And there we go. Welcome to Grenoble. Let's go manual brakes. Let's let it roll. We're down at 64 knots, so difficult to judge these 90 degree turn-offs. Still got reverse idle out. Here we come. Hopefully got the traffic off. Wilco, Manta 268. Okay. Let's get on those brakes now.
Reduce minimum approach speed.
We've rolled as fast as we could, so I hope that works out. 50 knots, bit fast. There we go. 12 knots should be alright. It's nice and dry out there. There should be traffic out there on final. Yeah, they're way out. We've got loads of them. Again, very important not to get rushed off a runway by air traffic and to cause more problems. Sounds like it worked out for the landing. That's good after our last one. Last stream, those of you will remember. I'm planning to make a little video about that. I'm hoping to anyway. And there we go, vacated. Welcome to Grenoble. So get your skis ready. Manta 268, runway vacated. There we go. I'm going to leave the flaps out, the lights on. You guys know why. We wouldn't do this in a real airplane, but I need it for the replay. We're going to do our best to get this replay to work out for us. Melted butter, says Manical. Excellent.
You can taxi to the main apron and report on the block to leave the frequency.
Taxi to the main apron and Wilco. Thank you, Manta 268. And we can see our colleagues arrive after us. So yeah, so now we would do all sorts of things and flows. But melted butter says manifold. Yeah, good. 61 might be a new record in 320. Yeah, it wasn't bad. It wasn't bad for the channel.
When airborne, climb, maintain.
A lot of nice messages. There we go. Some of the predictions I see. I noticed the predictions were a little less optimistic after our last stream. So yeah, I'm not surprised. The recorder is running. Thanks, checkpoint. Yeah. I'm going to pause it in just a second, and hopefully it will stay there. The VDEV, so the VDEV scale seemed to work really nicely there. So the VDEV scale is showing us the vertical deviation from the profile. Remember, the airplane, the real airplane, can fly this entire approach itself. We could have just pressed approach and let it do it, which is really handy. And it's what I would have done in real life in this situation. You wouldn't need to do what we just did. Oh, we can retract those spoilers anyway. There we go. I love taxiing around when it's all grassy and in these smaller airfields. It's really nice. But yeah, so there's loads of traffic on approach. That's great. But yeah, so I don't remember what I was saying there. Oh, the VDEV, yeah. So the VDEV is basically what the airplane, where the airplane thinks it should be. But you've got to be sure you're on the right QNH. If you're on the wrong QNH, the VDEV will show you that you're at the right altitude, and you won't really be. It's not as good as an RS. Manta Airways, smooth landing, smooth delivery, says MSGN. Not always, but sometimes, yeah. Checkpoint says, new after landing flow, just look outside at the colleagues as they arrive. Exactly, yeah. Here comes another one. Fly 53, thank you very much, Fly 53, for your 100 knock donation. Really appreciate it. Very kind. Hope you're doing well in Norway, and thank you for the donation. Flying 53 says, nice one. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Really appreciate it. There's
the cruising altitude
colleague.
Is flight level 70.
There we go. Colleague down as well. There.
Just to confirm, is your final,
I think my simulator's got slightly wrong elevation data in it. Oh, we've accelerated a bit there. Thank you very much, 553, for your donation. Really appreciate it. Where should we park? Yeah, this is correct for the apron here. So we'll park here. Let's give our passengers a premium seat. So again, lights are all staying on. Not realistic, just for the replay. Yeah, the Pappies were confusing. Yeah, the Pappies, don't know what was going on there. They weren't even that bad yesterday. So, but I know the real ones are slightly out of line. Chatting to some people I know who have flown there. So, oh, too much. There we go. Get it under control. Much slower needed to be turning on here.
And Global 4, you can proceed direct.
Right, there's the parking rate on. I think I like the idea of trying to get the scenery in for the replay. I think I won't do it just because it's too risky, guys. I don't know if the replay will work and so on. So we won't do that. We'll just check out of the frequency. Let's just see. We got there's another KLM landing.
Clear to land. The wind 220 degrees, 1 knots.
Oh, they're a little bit further out. So yeah, we'll check out on the frequency. Thanks very much, Ed. Glad you enjoyed it. Thanks for coming along. Thanks for your donation. Philly says I could have left my toast on the runway and had it buttered for free there. Yeah. Manta 268, we are parked. Thank you so much for your help, and we'll see you again next time. Thank you for your control.
ZMX 268, you may leave the frequency. Have a good night in Grenoble. Catch you soon.
Thank you. Lovely controller, really nice. Right, we shall disconnect. York says no risk, no fun. There we go. Right, let's jump into the replay. It would be a shame not to. And let's put it somewhere close to landing. There we go. So this was pretty much the landing. It's not bad. I mean, the unloaded scenery is acceptable, I think, for a flight simulator. And to be honest, this part was just fields, so. But here we go. Crescent Moon, good to see you. Thanks for coming along. And yeah, if you have enjoyed the video, do please hit the like button. Yeah, we're doing a little bit low on likes, so for anyone who's enjoying it, do please hit the like button. There's the landing was there. Spoilers don't quite work in the replay. Sometimes if we do the replay twice, they do work. So let's just try that once more. But yeah, interesting final approach there. The Pappies were very confusing. That felt low. I mean, look, we're only doing 700, 600 feet per minute. So there we go. I've got a replay tool to get replays. Even the controller teaching us pronunciation. Absolutely. So there we go. I got a brakes hot message. The replay does actually fly the airplane through this, you see. So it can lead to brakes hot messages. But there we go. Into the flare. Wasn't too much drift to kick off. And touchdown. Yeah, it worked out. It does work out sometimes, which is always nice. Point says, we got too spoiled with scenery. Flight Simulator 98 looked way worse. That's true enough. Yeah, thank you for all the likes, guys. Really appreciate it. Yeah, thanks. I hope you enjoyed the video. Right, let's stop indulging ourselves with that. Let's put ourselves somewhere out. But you'll notice, yeah, interesting approach. I hope you guys enjoyed it. I had a bit of fun preparing this one. Nice to try out something different. And yeah, we got this terrain ridge over here, then the terrain behind us there as we turned in on final. So all quite interesting. So let's rewind just a little bit more. I think we'll stick with this view for this one. And I think what we'll do now is, everyone's saying try the scenery. I think what we'll do is we'll leave it here for today. It doesn't look too much different. It is just fields, to be honest. This stuff looks a bit better, but that's further back in the replay. But yeah, guys, thank you all so much for coming along today. Thank you for your chats, your comments. Thank you to those just watching at home, even if you're not chatting. I really appreciate it. Thank you all for coming along. If we can hit 200 likes by the end of the video, that would be great. So thank you all. I would really appreciate it. And thank you all for your kind donations to those of you who have. Thanks to the moderators for coming along and taking the time out to moderate. And just thank you for everyone watching, chatting, asking questions, and being a part of it. I really appreciate it. It's been great fun for me. I hope you guys have enjoyed it. Like I said, more videos. We've got the star charts tutorial coming out on the channel very soon. More live streams coming soon as well. So we'll see you again very soon. Time for the outro music and the replay. So thanks very much. You all have a very good evening, and we'll see you again soon. Bye-bye.